What's up, everybody? This is NFL Network's Adam Ray.
This is Only Crooch.
This is Matt Waldman.
This is Chris Zork from your Chicago Bears.
I'm Deanne Miller.
Dan Weeder.
Hey, my name's Rashad Whitfield.
I'm Courtney Cronin.
Hey, this is David Kaplan. Listen to me. You want to learn football? Listen to my guys, Phil and Shane.
Shane and Phil.
Shane and
Phil.
Oh, Phil.
On the Tape Never Lies Network.
On the Tape Never Lies Network.
Tape Never Lies Network.
The Tape Never Lies Network.
Tape Never Lies Network, home of the greatest Chicago Bears fans on earth.
Oh my fucking God. Your lunch with Mary.
The following show is for mature audiences only.
People asking about corner. No. Can't.
There's
and not that I don't like those players. Bijan is clearly running back one. I mean, I don't know how anybody could not have him there. Excellent running back, but you can't do that.
That's fucking Jerry Angelo. Like, you gotta grow up from the days of the past. You can't sit here and say running backs aren't getting paid. David Montgomery gets whatever from Detroit, leaves. Best of luck. Everyone knows how I feel about him. But the running back position is easy. Now you're gonna take one in the first? Is that like, you guys are talking heads out of your ass? That's why these great fans come and live for this network. Because of the truth. Like, I used to just laugh and think this is like a joke. Like, people follow this shit and like it and retweet it as if it's fucking smart. And then they forget that asshole's the one who said it. And you still love this guy.
No. I feel like that. No, we do not take him because I think he might be a potential problem down the line.
Right.
There's something to be said. Okay, I get it. You're the best, so you don't have to go with the other sheep to the combine and strut your stuff. You're that good. Just to come in overweight, unprepared, and handpick the drills that, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I want and not even finish. That's just a giant red flag for me. Not including everything prior to that with an unfortunate car accident. Many red flags. It might be the next Warren stat, but I think we have bigger positions of need.
Well, one guy, I know you mentioned it before. I think Tyree Wilson in a few mocks has slipped down to 9. If he's there, I think they're going to run to the podium and grab him. That would be the one guy I see that might slip that they wouldn't want to trade down for. So he would be my number one if you count him. Otherwise, it's the trenches. Like, I got to see either. I like Roderick Jones a lot. Paris Johnson. I'm not upset with either of those guys. Or even Van Ness at that spot. Like, I would love to see him trade down a little bit to maybe the mid-teens and hopefully get a Van Ness still, or even like one of the other tackles that are still out there. But they gotta go for the trenches. That's still the right way to build, and that's what they've been preaching. And if they don't do that, it's going to be a little surprising to me.
I don't think he has all the tools as a number 1-9. I think the trade down, if you can get in the second round in 40, 45. And what is it, like Washington's 17-40, Tampa's 19 and 50, I think, something like that.
Yep.
If you can get in that range, you might be able to pick up that best offensive center of that second round pick. and you trade down to pick up something, any one of the, what I would put the 3 through 5 tackles that are out there. So DeJuan Jones.
Would you have DeJuan Jones higher than Darnell Wright?
With the trade down, yes.
Well, I'm talking about at 9, though.
Yeah, no, not at 9. I would, if you're forcing me between those two, and we're in the war room and you gotta choose, then I'm going with Darnell Wright.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Chicago's
trading up 100.
Yes!
What?
Oh my
Here
God.
it is!
Just reporting. The tape never lies.
Other people drop off, but we still keep rocking.
You'll never know how good your football team's going to be until you play with maximum effort.
Keeping it 100.
Open competition over the North and never give it back.
Smartest man.
My Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
Guess who's back? The two dudes that kept it real. Dynamic duo that you love, the smartest man and Dr. Phil. Breaking down the film, never a problem, kick it straight. Most shows focus on stats, we focus on the tape. We keeping it 100, never running east to west. We coming with that truth, cause that's what our fans expect. Cut off the freaking anchor, forward to be free. But don't you worry, Shane's got the dumbest tweets. It ain't no secret, Phil and Shane got some haters. But now they're all stuck like the Jew and now and laters. Debaters, frauds get kicked like Coach Tabor. Cuts had to be made, we added a barber moderator. Up and down, boys got you double checking. Sad sack scrolling like a fool drunk texting. Flexing on the truth cause you know they never change. Real, recognize real, that's what you get with Phil and Shane. What we do when we're breaking down the Bears. Fuck a play or a captain, all of the unchairs. The tape never lies, the truth, you see. We laugh, we analyze, so there's no babies like Maybelline. Straight to the truth with acumen and facts. We got a stat nerd, but he's not just giving nerd stats. Car crash, big impact like Trick Sack. Every Wednesday night you got the smartest man and Phil back. Now we know you're smiling like a fat kid with fun dip. We're back better than ever and we keeping it 100. Keeping it 100, baby.
Keep it 100. Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Justin Fields gets outside the pocket, puts that ball perfectly where only Mooney can get it. 1 point, 2 feet.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100, baby.
Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100, baby.
Keep it 100.
Keeping it 100.
Birds never lie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo! This is Claudio the Barber, and this is TTNL's Keeping It 100, the best bear show on the planet, bar none. Listen, T-minus 2 weeks to the draft, and the big question is still, what are the Bears going to do at number 9? So, of course, we got a great show. We're going to talk all about that. We're bringing on a guy who's a TTNL veteran, and he knows all about the rookies, Mr. Matt Waldman from RSP. So let's bring on the boys. Shane, the smartest man, Marcel. And there he is, the doc, Draft Dr. Phil.
There he is.
Yo,
I hit it. I saw the
Claude
thumbs up.
hitting that spot. He had the dramatic 3-second pause, but he hit it.
Yeah, listen.
Proud of you,
Claudie, yo.
Yo. Got the music going.
Beat,
We're
the beat
flowing.
is up high tonight.
Yeah,
The
it
beat
is.
is up high.
It's
Didn't
drowning
cut
out
you off.
our Chicago Bulls play-in tears that Ivan and I are experiencing right now.
Oh, they're not doing too good.
They,
No, they're doing Chicago Bulls-like things right now, unfortunately. But you know,
well,
that's why we
they
brought
do.
Waldman here. He's going to cheer us all up.
I don't even know how you all watch that shit. It's like, let's tank for picks and lotteries. Although I can't say anything.
Sorry, Michael Cooper isn't on the court.
Yeah, exactly. Your favorite football team just essentially tanked. What are you talking about?
I know.
Oh boy.
I figured that one out after I said it, I guess. I just not a fan of tanking.
Oh no, I get it.
I've never
I get it.
I used to like it like back when Michael Cooper played. You guys all laugh about Michael Cooper, but it was Magic Johnson that was my guy. But that's when they just never missed.
No, we weren't laughing at
shit.
you and Michael Cooper. We were laughing at what you said about Michael Cooper, which was
I was saying that he never missed. I was like, as a kid, I just never
you
saw
said he
him
was
miss.
a better shooter than Jordan. Were your words.
That was my exact quote. Outside
it was.
shooter, I probably.
Yeah. Waldman
Outside
just texted me and said, "What a fucking idiot! Did he really say that?"
Hey, I don't remember Michael Cooper. He just raining threes. Larry Bird.
Back
These
in
dudes
the
would just hit shots.
back in the 80s. Oh, yeah.
Now it's this kid Curry and the girl from Iowa. That's it.
Yeah, Steph Curry, Bryce Young. Those are the comps we're dealing with now. Makes me laugh.
My boy Bryce is gonna go number one overall.
Yeah,
Joey
Lumbella.
¿Cómo está, Claudio? Joey. Happy birthday, Joe. How do you say happy birthday in Italiano, Claudio?
I have no clue.
Jeez, you were fucking in Italy for a month.
I was. It wasn't my birthday. So nobody said it to me.
How do you say happy birthday? How do you say happy birthday at a car show? That's what I want to know.
Yes.
I'm not smart.
Listen, let's get right into it. We start off with all the laughs and the fun and game, but it's time for the draft. We're how many days away from the draft, Shane?
15.
Yeah.
15 days.
It'll be
away.
14 by the time this show's over.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Be 14. And we're super excited to bring on a guy that is a wily veteran. He's battling other guests to be the most, most seen guest? Most returning guest?
Yeah, 4 or 5?
Oh, I think he is.
I think he's up there, man.
Yeah,
Because Kaplan and Olin Kreutz were holding it.
Yeah.
And Adam Rank was trying to push his way through. But I think the big man, I don't want to get in trouble with people. So he's got a big voice. I had a great joke, but I don't want to get people going. Jesus, this world is crazy enough as it is. Let's bring him out from the rookie scouting portfolio. He's got a deep jazz-like voice when he's going through the techniques and the fundamentals on the football field, as well as the chords on his guitar or the sax or whatever instrument he picks up. From the rookie scouting portfolio, the veteran, the guru, Mr. Matt Waldman.
Well, it's that time of year again, Bears fans. And our favorite guy, he's back. Once we flipped the calendar, there was only one man for us to call to help us kick off our NFL draft coverage. The rookie scouting portfolio creator,
Give me some fucking names.
has set it all up to help get you prepared. You won't find another more comprehensive NFL draft guide out there. Bears fans, TTNL fans, you are now on the clock. And with the first pick of the NFL draft, TTNL Network selects Hugo.
What?
Keeping it alive. Give it up for Hugo's dad, Matt Waldman.
Let's go, Waldman.
How's
There
it
he
going,
is.
fellas?
What's up?
Hey,
going?
I'm doing pretty good here. I'm just trying to train the new recruit here that you guys named. He doesn't know whether he's a weak side linebacker or a running back at this point. So we're he holds on to the ball pretty well, but he can't catch. So but he can, but he's got that curvy linear movement and he can hit and he plays all day. He's got stamina. That's about all I can tell you at the scouting report.
We're in that Eberflus. We're in that Eberflus defense. We can always use a Will Backer.
Well,
we always need him.
He'll run you down.
Yeah.
Let's start there, Matt. Before we get into the draft, obviously the Bears went from 1 when we last had you on. We didn't know. So then they trade to 9, right? And they pick up DJ Moore. Your thoughts on DJ Moore and the move down to 9? Obviously, just to refresh, they pick up an extra pick this year in the second, a first-round pick next year, as well as a 2025 second-round pick and DJ Moore. Your thoughts on the trade down and DJ Moore?
I think obviously getting DJ Moore is a boon for them because you're getting a player who is really if I were to make the comparison, he's not quite an AJ Brown in terms of what AJ Brown can do at the catch point in terms of using his height. But he's not that far away from what A.J. Brown offers the Philadelphia Eagles, which is basically a primary guy who is an absolute bull in the middle of the field in terms of both short area quickness and the ability to run through you. I mean, this guy's got running back skills after the catch, and he's very good in the middle of the field. But I've seen his game grow at Carolina as a receiver on the boundary. That was where he was kind of weakest, and he's gotten a lot stronger there. So to get him allows the team to use Chase Claypool in a secondary role, and then really allow, if they decide to keep Velus Jones or to continue to use him, and they feel like that they've got value, they can get value from him. You can use him in more of a gadget role, in a way that you're using DJ Moore as maybe a decoy or possible bait there. So you kind of add some value in that respect. But most importantly, you give Justin Fields an excellent receiver who can be the primary guy. And then, with the 9th pick, I mean, you look at some of the guys that might be available, can they get a tackle? I mean, I'm probably not the big guy that you would want talking about, offensive line play more than skill positions. But I mean, if you like Paris Johnson, he'll probably be available, the Ohio State tackle. That's a guy that's certainly worth consideration there. So they're probably going to have, Broderick Jones out of Georgia. There's another option right there. So there's going to be a few guys that they can look into and see if they're a good fit with what the Bears do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, going back to you saying him being kind of a maven in the middle of the field, and if you look at what Justin Fields thrives at, he thrives in that middle area. So it's a perfect complement. And, if they can unlock Claypool, another guy you didn't mention was Darnell Mooney, that speed element, up top. And I think this is going to make Cole Kmet better also, because like you said, it's unlocking the middle of the field. It's going to let you create more mismatches. And it clearly had to be, if you were going to make the move going down from number 1, at one point, we weren't even sure if Carolina was going to be willing to move off of a guy like DJ Moore. And we were out there trying to figure out, you bringing up AJ Brown's the perfect comp. Who is going to be our AJ Brown? Who is going to be, Buffalo went out and got Stephon Diggs. You see these moves for these guys to bring in more talent, and for the Bears to get him, and we have to add into the fact that he's on a cost control contract for the next 3 seasons. That's a big deal. It's actually descending financially. So that's a big part of it.
Yeah, he ties the room together for that receiver room. And that's what A.J. Brown did. And so you get a player who's got the speed to stretch you. He's got the tackle breaking and moves to be able to win after the catch. He's a good route runner in the middle of the field. I thought, there were a lot of times people in Carolina were like, well, Curtis Samuel's really our guy in the middle of the field. But Curtis Samuel tended to round off routes a lot more than DJ Moore did. DJ Moore could run sharp routes. When you have that element you need a player who has a complete game. And I think DJ Moore, if he doesn't have a complete game, it's very close. And there's enough plus elements to his game that it does force defenses to basically overcompensate for him, and that will help Mooney. I didn't mention Mooney because I'm not worried about him, I guess.
Yeah,
Claypool I'm a little more worried about.
Oh yeah,
but
as
it helps.
you said, just to clear it up, and then I got a follow up. But if you remember, Matt talked about his concerns with Claypool, and being fair, as you were listening back to that, you took into consideration the late start via the trade, just coming in. He's not a polished receiver to begin with. So now you're setting him back coming into a new system, and then he gets hurt. So a lot of people down on the Claypool trade, I say, let's pause, tap the brakes there and see what he does. And I think this move allows him that growth, like you're saying. So you were right on point there. And that was my fear. I going to bring this all together to ask you, because for me, I'm not afraid to tell my truth. If draft night comes and the Bears are on the clock and they decide that a wide receiver out of Ohio State is their choice at 9, I might take my Mac and throw it across the room and stop broadcasting. That's my fear here, because you've traded for 2 wide receivers. You got Darnell Mooney, who any of us are worried about. I love Darnell Mooney. I think this makes him better. But I want to ask you, can you see polls? Can you be the Bears and take another receiver there at 9? I know you mentioned the tackles, so your thoughts there. Or a Bijan Robinson, best player available there. He drops down. I know your thoughts on that. A skill guy there. I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I think if they took a receiver, then to me that would be a sign that they feel like they failed with the Claypool trade. And it's time to move on fast. And you've got it. If that works out with the player that they pick, then I think that it's a smart move to cut your losses quickly if you truly believe that. And that means that you have to think that inside the building there's something with Claypool that they just feel like isn't going to help him get better to be the contributor that they want. Now, I think Claypool is just fine in a secondary role, and if you can, so the other argument you could make is that if you get a second guy on the wide receiver core who you feel like could be possibly an upgrade to Mooney in terms of what he might be able to offer in a year or two, and then Claypool can be kind of the Kenny Galladay-esque type of player that he was in Detroit, where you just say, we're going to take you as an athlete, match you up against linebackers and safeties deep, and win that way, and you're cushioned by solid veterans or really good players who do command respect. Then you get a lot out of Claypool that way. But I would say, if you're going to take, I think receivers, you can probably go a little further and get some players. I like Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think he's a good player. I think that what he offers from the slot is terrific. But here's the thing. This league has basically gone after the whole Mahomes situation where teams decided to play a lot of cover 2 against him 2 years ago and kind of tell and signal to NFL offenses that we're not going to let you go deep on us anymore.
to the level that we were. And the defenses were now employing all of these safety hybrids who were basically or linebacker hybrids who were essentially safeties in disguise playing linebacker. The Deion Buchanan type of players, and the Clemson draft picks who they can do everything except do something really well that they need to do at that position. I mean, sorry, I'm exaggerating a bit. A lot of these guys, like Isaiah Simmons, I'm sure there's a lot of things that they can do that are impressive. But let's remember that you just can't manufacture Brian Urlacher and say we're going to take a guy who was a safety, put him at linebacker, he's going to be an all-pro linebacker. There's a reason why there's only a few of those. So the teams looked at that and said, okay, so you're putting these guys in the box. We've spread the field on you. You're spreading it back. They're light. Good. Let's run counter. Let's run power. Let's run toss. Let's keep it simple and let's bury you. And do you really think there are any stout linebackers, stout box safeties, stout guys who can defend the run at the level in the college level right now, that there's a big supply of them? No, they've been recruiting these same guys for years. There's at least a good backlog of 3 to 4 seasons of guys like this. So to me, what the answer is if you're Ryan Poles and you're a former offensive lineman and you talk about wanting to run the ball, to me, why are you going to get a slot receiver unless that slot receiver can block his ass off? And, or you get another tight end and you can keep Cole Kmet inside, let him block, and then use him in certain situations as a receiver, and maybe get a second tight end who can pull, who can lead block, who can match up one-on-one on the outside and be dynamic, and you run the hell out of the ball, and you use, counter, you use power, you use toss, in addition to other
speaking my language, man.
That's to me, that's where it should be going, because that's what teams did. I mean, passing statistics went back 10 years last year.
Exactly. It's a passing league, man. It's a passing league.
That's what I hear.
Chris Sims will tell you.
Well, that's good, but I think he got hit, by a pulling guard last year and may not have woken up. And, I don't want to make fun of brain injuries, but, at the same time, I think maybe he needs to subscribe to Michael Lopez, who was the stats guy for the NFL, who said that there's a significant change after week 4 and it didn't change back. I mean, really 10 years since we've had this much kind of running. And I can tell you a lot of it was counter. A lot of it was power. And that meant get that extra. Who do you want? If you can get an Anquan Bolden type, which again is like getting Brian Urlacher on the other side of the ball. How many of those are there really? Though there might be one in this pick we'll look at. But there's about 7 or 8 tight ends in this class that are pretty darn good, and maybe another 4 after that who could develop. And they can at least do what I talked about. At least 2/3 to 75% of them could probably do what I described as that second tight end and be a productive receiver. Yep. And that makes your offense multiple, which is even harder to defend. And sure, if they have to put their weakest guy on the field because they need to match up by adding another linebacker in there rather than using that safety because they don't want to get run over, let them, because you're still going to have the advantage.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up Anquan Bolden, and it's perfect case right there. Classic point is Anquan Bolden didn't go 9th overall. He was a 3rd round draft pick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can wait on these guys. Phil and I were talking about it a little bit today. I'm a JSN fan. I get it. I see what people love about it. His short area quickness. You can get intoxicated by that. Not at number 9, the way that this team is constructed. I mean, you just invested in DJ Moore. You just gave up a 2nd round draft pick for Chase Claypool. Another thing is Chase Claypool, he's got a lot to go out there and play for. He's coming up on a contract year. Darnell Mooney, much the same. Matt, you sent me a DM last night asking me for some, guys that I like, and there's the number one guy that I gave you on that DM, that there's a wide receiver, Xavier Hutchinson, is a dude that I love. Give me him a little bit later in the draft rather than JSN at number 9 all fucking day long and twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
People just get intoxicated. Hey, Bears fans thought they had their wide receiver 1 fixed back in 2015 for the next 10 years in Kevin White. Didn't work out. It happens all the time. Just because you draft a guy doesn't mean you fixed anything. Got to get out there and got to prove it. And JSN, nice player.
JSN's 5 catches last year were impressive. That's all I could say. I mean, seriously, I've never seen a player, Matt, and I think this is like a talking heads agent handshake. I'm with Shane. Great player. He's in the top 10 of my receivers. But if you're at 9 and you're the Bears and you're listening to Phil and Shane for 2 years, and you're hearing Waldman come now and you hear power, trap, and your offensive line looks like dog shit for fucking the last 6 years, and you're excited because Tevin Jenkins is playing guard great with a bunch of hillbillies missing and whiffing and falling and Smustafer and all of that stuff has to be fixed. I just don't know that you can continue to ignore the offensive line like this. You signed Nate Davis, but I just can't. Like, I literally will lose everything on Ryan Pohl. I will say you are a fraud GM if you take a wide receiver at 9. It just doesn't fit. Charlie Jones in round 4 would be stupendous pick. Short areas burst, dog, catches everything. Like, I can get that in round 4. Like, I'm with Shane 100%. I'm with him. And I wanted to hear you, and I just went on a rant because I get people think I hate JSN. I don't hate him. I hate the thought of the Bears reaching for a wide receiver that's a slot guy that doesn't block well and he's a good slot receiver. He's no Anquan. He's not a man blocking people, knocking
He's
people
Julian
out.
Edelman more than he's Anquan Bolden.
Exactly.
Okay?
Totally.
He's Greg
Exactly.
Jennings more than he's Anquan Bolden.
Yep.
You know, and are the Chicago really want to be the Los Angeles Rams? Because that's where he would fit best, is a team like that.
Exactly.
You know, or a team that wants to run wide zone, that doesn't, that has really kind of a quarterback that you want to protect a little bit with the play action game. And I just don't think that's really where they're going here. So I agree with you that you want to work on the trenches right now. And really, if you took a running back, here's the other thing. I probably wouldn't even be happy with that, because I'm a big Khalil Herbert fan. I've always been a big Khalil Herbert fan. I think he can get it done as the lead back. I know there's some people who are like, well, there's Donta Foreman. And Donta Foreman, before he had the Achilles tear, was quite a fine prospect. And he's made his way back and has played very well. But I think that's a good enough 1-2 punch, because really, I look at it this way. If the Cleveland Browns hadn't drafted Baker Mayfield, which, as a Browns fan, I told them, when the Browns network had me on, I said, you drafted Jeff Garcia. Okay. So at best, you got Pro Bowl Jeff Garcia. You didn't get, Brett Favre, Drew Brees, and Russell Wilson rolled into one. And what's going to happen is you're going to get this close because you're going to build the trenches out. You're going to get a decent enough defense, and you're going to have and that second round pick you got after Baker Mayfield is going to be one of the best running backs in the league. And you're going to get this close, and your quarterback's not going to be able to get you there. You have the quarterback to get you there. You have the quarterback to get you there. Whether people know that or not right now, you have the quarterback to get you there. You need the offensive line. If you get that, you're going to be okay, because you can have look what Patrick Mahomes had at receiver last year. He didn't have Tyreek Hill. He had one great receiver and some good receivers. And I wouldn't even classify Marquez Valdes-Scantling as necessarily a good starting receiver, more as a good contributor. But Juju Smith-Schuster, good starting receiver in the role that you have him. and he had some rookies. Kadarius Toney. You can talk all you want about one way or the other with him. Very talented, but mercurial. Still, look at all of what they did with that. You have to have the quarterback. Just build the line. If you build the line, the Bears will be in great shape because you got Jordan Love, who I don't think maybe he'll get better. Maybe these 3 years or how many years he's been behind Rodgers will help him become the player that he was not at Utah State. So you've got that. You've got the Vikings because Cousins is getting old. Cook is gone. That team, Rick Spielman's no longer there. So you probably, they got rid of a solid GM, I think. He may not be great, but he had a long career. That tells you something. And he had
10 years
a lot
as
of
a
good
GM.
players. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And then, so this is your chance. Build the line.
I hear you. And that's the thing. The line on either side of the ball. I understand you want to get these off and you get another offensive tackle in, but if you sit right down and break it down, and I can make a point completely that the Bears defensive line is in more need of players than the offensive line is, because there's nobody there. I mean, they went out and signed Walker, and they're going to play him inside. But is Dominique Robinson, is he going to take that step? No. Right. I mean, he's a fastball that
you can't say no, but you can say it's yet to be seen.
He's a project.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a lot of things to work on.
Yeah, he's a guy that you bring in on 3rd and 12 and say, go do your job, go get the quarterback.
But you picked Bijan Robinson first, okay? Great back.
Can't do it.
But let's remember something. Adrian Peterson had a heck of a line that gave Chester Taylor a 1,300-yard season the year before. Chester Taylor's a good back in the way that you would say Donta Foreman is a good back post Achilles tear. A guy you can put on any roster and can do good work for you. But is he Adrian Peterson? No. LT, when the Falcons traded basically picks to give Butler 2 picks that got LT and Drew Brees. and you had Marty Schottenheimer, who good or bad, is going to get an offensive line, and he's gonna play off. And you got LT behind that offensive line. Now you're cooking. You take Saquon Barkley behind the trash unit that the New York Giants line was when they first had him, and you got great fantasy stats, but you had a guy who had lots of games where he was held under really 40 yards, under 40 yards, a lot of games. So he exploded in he had some big explosions, but does that keep your offense on the field? Would that make you a winning football team? They finally started to become a winning football team because they started working on their line, and they got a coach who could get the most out of Daniel Jones. And 2 coaches in Kafka and Dable. But that's how I look at it. Is that and then if you do have the offensive line, look at the Titans. Okay, they may not be, at least until recently, they had a retread in Ryan Tannehill. Okay. But their line was good. They had a terrific runner behind that line, and they were a playoff team. And they played tough in some playoff games. They weren't a completely talented team, but they had enough talent to do it. At worst, the Bears could be in a position that the Titans are short term if they get that line together. They're going to be better than that because Justin Fields is a better weapon than Ryan Tannehill was, and we all know Tannehill could run because he was an all Big 12 slot receiver. Yeah.
Should draft him at number 9, right? Slot receiver. Let's go.
I would be less upset with Bijan at 9 than JSN because of what you're saying and the combination of trading for Claypool, DJ Moore, David Montgomery goes to Detroit. I like Khalil. I think he's got some great tools in his tool bag, but Bijan is a blue chipper in my book, my assessment, right? Sure. So if you get a blue chipper at 9, then I'm not going to argue it because it's going to be 1-2 with Justin and him. Now we got action game. Now we got counter. We got power with him. He can catch the ball. So that would be okay.
It would also probably be a good pick this way. If they're getting resistance in the building to picking along the line of scrimmage, well, after they get what they want in getting Bijan Robinson, and he averages 3.8, 3.9 yards per carry, which may not mean anything about how good he really was, because we all know it's what's on the tape. But they'll be able to say, you had us pick the guy. We love him. He's great. Do you want to see him be great?
Exactly.
You need to do this. So if they go that route, that's a good sign, because they're going to be painted into a corner to do it.
Yeah.
That
is a good way to look at it.
The other thing that would make me infuriated on draft night, you're the priest of draft, so I'm coming to confession. What would make me priest?
Maybe I'm the priest in $1 Million Baby who curses you out, but that's about it. You fucking pagan,
That's fine.
Okay.
As long as you keep putting me in the right direction. Shane and I talking about this over the phone. It's been a topic of conversation for weeks. It's just the tape tells me something. The talking heads tell me something different. And that's what this whole network was built on. So I go, Shane, I can't ever be happy with Jalen Carter being selected at 9 with all of the red flags and all of the other minutia. Just throw that out. Just watching his tape and seeing baby Huey out there, a guy that does it one play and 5 plays he's not doing it. And you have to question their effort. Did they love the game? I don't want that. That soap opera is so Jerry Angelo old. Like, he's got a high ceiling potential. Let's take a roll of the dice. I would, again, take the iMac. I already took a printer tonight. Asked my wife. Brand new printer. I just fucking destroyed it because it just, I'm like, this piece of shit won't take the paper. I just lost it. And I'm like in that place now, Matt, that I'm getting anxious that the Bears would make another mistake and take high-end potential there. Oh, worth the risk. I'll just take Carter. I just can't do it. What says you? I know you're more into the skill position, but obviously this is a hot topic.
Yeah.
Can you see this franchise taking a risk on this kind of football player?
Well, the answer is based on listening to you guys talk about what goes on with the front office. The history would point to it's a possibility, because you have a group of people who may overrule your GM, or may compete with your GM as a voice in the room to say, we value upside and we value athletic ability, and athletic ability puts butts in the seats. And there's still a lot of behavior in rooms like this where they believe the great athlete can be taught, even though they're not teaching anything but scheme and game plan, but they're not teaching technique. They don't have time for that. That's what the players are there to do. So, if you look at it from what he's capable of, absolutely he could be a top player. But most scouts, most wizened GMs will look at a player and say, all right, in the first round, we need a player who is a thermostat effort guy. You set it and forget it. We don't need a light switch player. And if you have Jalen Carter, if you think that you've got to duct tape the light switch into the on position,
you're fucked.
Yes,
you're fucked.
Exactly right.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. So, without being a guy who would say, he's certainly a playmaker inside when you look at it from one perspective, but if the effort's not quite there in the middle of the field, in the middle of the field. And after everything we just said, if offenses aren't going to go back to, we figured out a way to beat cover 2. No, I don't think they are, because there's too much hubris to go back to high school teams that figured out how to do this years ago. They're gonna keep doing what they've done, which is we're gonna pound the ball a little bit more often and play short passing game. Well, if you're gonna pound the ball more, and the defensive tackle that you're counting on, he's kind of more like the DMV person at the table who maybe is really talented. Maybe they're a talented author and they're writing a novel, but they need this job. And then you get in line and it's 11:45 and it's time for them to hit lunch, and they're like, put the card up without saying anything to you, and they're gone for an hour and a half. You don't want a guy who's gone for an hour and a half in a football game. So if that's the issue, and also legal issues on top of all that, yeah, it's too much. I think that at this point, the Bears would be better going step by step. You miss out on a big name like that, what if he turns out to be, let's just say, what if he turns out to be like the kid out of Pitt with the Rams?
Aaron Donald.
What if he turns out to be that? All right. Aaron Donald, game wrecker for sure in the passing game. Game wrecker as a running, not really, unless there's other help around him. They still had to get help around him to be the penetrator because he's getting double teamed. Do the Bears really have that kind of help? So I just look at it from that perspective and say, you might miss out on the big thing, but if you get, a solid player and more, you get more solid talent, because if you get a more sure thing early, then you might be able to get also a guy that may not have Jalen Carter's talent, but you might get a guy later who can be good. And the effort's there, and what you can do with him. You don't want to put Jalen Carter there if you're worried about his effort and say, we need to lean on him to do certain things that only he can do, but he only does it, every 3 games for one play.
Yeah, that's the thing. And, another thing Phil and I were talking about, it's not just the off-field stuff. It's not just him, what he, showed up and did at his pro day. Phil and I broke it down for our patrons where we can show you on tape. Like you said, Matt, if you got to duct tape that switch,
it's the best analogy.
You can't take that in the top 10. I don't care what your ceiling is. I don't care how talented you are. The Bear, you cannot do that. Everything that you hear from Matt Eberflus and from Ryan Poles is selling this hits philosophy where you're bought in, where you're 100% all the time. Ryan Poles, to this point, has never made a first-round draft pick. He had 2 seconds last year. I don't know how you're tying yourself to such a massive. I mean, it's a volcano waiting to erupt. The way that I look at it, you may get 5 or 6 great games, and then it's just gone because of a dumb decision. And you're talking about the on switch. To me, if you're dead set on bringing in a defensive lineman, sign me up for Van Ness all fucking day. He's got the flux capacitor on his back. If you're talking about a fucking on switch, that kid and the upsides there. He's clean off the field, and he's a kid that wants to get to his potential and then push through that ceiling. He's not there yet. He's got a ways to go there, but there's things that I love about Jalen Carter when the switch is on, but man, it's so much of a gamble. It can cripple your franchise for the next 7 years,
especially after you traded down, Matt. You traded down from 9. You told the world you believe in Justin Fields, only to turn around and draft this hot iron of, you know what I'm saying? The thermostat with duct tape. That sounds like my grandpa's house back in 1984. It's like, I don't want that anymore. And then, watching the tape, this is me keeping it 100. We cut 6 games of Jalen Carter and showed you Brian Breesy and Kyle Van Ness and Kalijah Cansey all showed up. Lucas Van Ness. I keep doing the Kyle thing because Kyle Van Noy. Lucas Van Ness all show up on tape like, oh shit. Wow, there's a play. And then there's one of those with Carter. And I just see this talking head thing. There's no questioning the athletic size and talent. And then you accompany the tape tells me he's not worth 9. And then all these other things, the pro day, he's gasping for air. He looks like Uncle Rico there. He's gasping for air, sweating. He can't finish. He's laying on the ground. Then he's put on 9 or 10 pounds from the combine. He didn't work out the combine. Then you got the legal off the field problems that he's gonna be what is it? He's on probation. One fuck up there. Hey, sorry, Bears. He's suspended. Goodell's gonna put him out but we really loved his talent. We really did. Like, these things have to be weighed. And you know what? He's a kid. He makes mistakes. I get it. But for me, you're not in position to overlook Justin by taking this player. I just don't think so.
If he fell to, say, the end of the first round, you already picked your player at 9. You think you have the capital or something that you can trade up to get him or get him in the early second round or something along those lines. Sure. But I'm being facetious when I say this, but I'd rather see the Bears go back to a 3-4 and pick Nolan Smith if they're going to pick somebody out of Georgia. That would be the guy I would prefer them to take, who I think is going to be an excellent edge player. But again, what you need, it seems to me, and the most logical thing is build your strength. Don't try and shore up your weaknesses. And I know that you would say, well, our offensive line is a weakness, but you could say in the scope of things, your offense is what you're going to lead with. So shore up, build on your strength. And part of that strength is Justin Fields, DJ Moore, the 2 running backs you've got, the tight end and the 2 other receivers, and Velus Jones, if you want to add him as a gadget player into the mix with his speed. Get your offensive line together, because again, if you have a good offensive line, then not only is DJ Moore and Chase Claypool are good runners. They've both been used in that capacity, and you can put Velus Jones in that mix too. So now you've created a lot of options and trickery that you can do, a combination of what the Chiefs have done, the Ravens have done, the Panthers did in the past, that can be successful and be an element of your game that keeps defenses guessing.
You look at, what about the Bears signed Tunyon from the Packers out of what was he out of? Larry Bird's college. Indiana State. There it is.
Former quarterback.
Indiana State. Grew up a Bears fan. I saw the Bears. Obviously, you probably didn't, but the Bears put out this behind the scenes of the trade, and then they talk about the importance of finding these players that grew up as Bears fans and have that pride, which I agree with. I don't think it's phony baloney. I think there is something to that player that grew up the fan. They just understand the fandom and the rivalry and all of that. So here's Tunyon coming over here. What are your thoughts on him fitting here with Justin Fields and Cole Kmet?
I like it in the sense that you can split him outside. You can use him on the wing. Yep. And so he's going to give you value at both. He's worked at his craft. And that's the other thing that you want is you want players who've taken on their own to develop their talent. And yeah, he had an injury, but that breakout season he had before his injury, he worked with George Kittle. He worked with the same group of guys and really made strides there. He's a good contested catch player. He's a downfield guy that sometimes when you looked at him, you thought Jordy Nelson had come back, into the lineup and come out of retirement because he was getting lost downfield down there. And, you can find him in the red zone. So what that does is it helps establish that multiple field. that hopefully the Bears will take advantage of. And to me, again, because the depth of tight end is good enough here, you could still draft another and have some.
They have to, Matt.
Yeah,
They have
some redundancy.
You can't.
I have a guy.
You can't skip.
I love him.
You can't skip this class. It's way too good.
I agree. I agree with you, Shane. Jeremy Foyer's talking about Schoonmaker.
And
I'm a huge fan.
Well, he's on my list of guys we're going to watch tonight because I asked Shane, but I added Schoonmaker to my list because he's one of my guys too. I love him too. Yes, he's my number 2 tight end in this class.
Oh wow,
really?
Yes.
Because does that mean you hated my? Does that mean you weren't a fan of my tight end?
No, I added your tight end too.
Yeah.
I absolutely love you. He's number 3 on my board.
Oh, okay, perfect.
But
I guess I just gave everybody a great clip. You're not a fan of my tight end, but that's a whole different show.
Ivan wasn't here to clip that.
Hey, it's all good. Some people might be, but but
he's in my top 5 tight ends too. I love Schoonmaker.
He's
from Connecticut.
He's the best blocker in this class. And on top of that, maybe he's not ever going to be Travis Kelce, okay, in terms of his ability to move, but he is a good athlete, and he's a better athlete than people realize. And the way they used him outside, defenses knew what was coming, and they went after it, so he didn't have a lot of room to run after the catch. But when you watch him in small exposures that they did get him outside or in the slot, you could see the bend. You can see the ability to turn his hips. He's a good route runner. I think he can match up outside a little better than people realize. And if so for me, if you get him, then as Komet's contract runs out, you've got Schoonmaker loaded in. If you want to keep Tunyon in there as a receiver, that's great. But you still can roll with those 2.
Real quick, Shane, is there a rookie scouting portfolio Matt Waldman grade for guys that make plays in the big moments? Like the moment, that's the guy. They're going to the guy. Everyone knows they're going to the guy. And that's where I got Schoonmaker. Like, okay. And then he makes the play despite 3 guys hanging on him. Those types of moments for me are players. I call them my guy, like guys I have to have on the Chicago Bears.
Well,
are you in agreement with that?
I am. Like when I look at now, I have for wide receivers, for instance, I have like a 98 point checklist, 98 defined points of criteria that I use to grade receivers. And it's pretty close to the same with tight end. And then that's like what they can do, not how well they do it. Then I have a way of grading that I use for my rankings. That's for how well they do it. So, Michael Vick, maybe he didn't have the highest breadth of talent grade where he could do everything, but the things he did well, he did, and certain things that he could do better than anybody, certain things. And so when you look at depth of talent, one of the things that I look at for receiving is, and it's a part of my criteria for going from tier to tier or going from the starter tier to the top tier is, can they make clutch plays? And I look at that because I think that's important. Are they targeted on 4th down? Are they targeted late in the game? Are they targeted in a pivotal situation where, again, like you said, Stephon Diggs week 1 versus Jalen Ramsey? That Jalen Ramsey knows what's coming. Is he still going to be able to stop it? That's the big question. They're not They're not throwing to Gabriel Davis against Jalen Ramsey, unless they're hoping to fool Jalen Ramsey with some sort of like play action misdirection, situation that leaves that Ramsey isn't going to bite on probably anyway. But I'm totally about that.
Yeah, I want to get into some of these players, man. This is what I want to see.
Well, let's do it if you guys are good for it.
I have some breaking news. Shane.
Is that
Our producer dropped out of here.
Oh, is it the bull?
Breaking news. The tape never lies. Network breaking news.
As you can see underneath, scrolling across the bottom half of TTNL's Keeping It 100 with Matt Waldman, the rookie scouting portfolio. Right there. Purchase that. Well, one of our patrons, Bill Wagner, has purchased and is going to purchase, rather, 5 of them and wants to give them away to some of our our loyal fans, and is going to do that tonight. He wants to set this up, Waldman, but your DMs are locked up, so I can help transition this.
If you want, Bill, just make it easy. Go to Matt Waldman, like on the bottom of my video here, Matt Waldman RSP at gmail.com. Contact me there. Okay. Easy. And I will you give me the names. You guys give me the names, like first and last name and email addresses of each of the 5 people. Bill, okay. You can just purchase, like you can go to PayPal if you want to and just pay, you can pay for one or you can pay for one that you're buying for yourself, but the 5 that you're doing, you can, $21.95 times 5, put it in the put it, put that on PayPal, just put in the memo field what it's for, 23 RSP, and email me, and I'll get everybody squared away, as soon as I get those email addresses.
Perfect.
Such a great, generous.
You guys will love it.
It's the great combo. TTNL
when I say
and
it's
RSP.
The craziest thing that I've ever seen. It's the nicest possible way, because you're reading and reading and reading, and you're like, oh my! It's Matt. It's so impressive. Oh my God!
Thank you. And when I say it's pleasantly shocking reader since 2006, I think that is true of a thing I can say. I mean,
you're not kidding.
I run long when I talk about a lot of stuff. I'm certainly don't have I have a face for radio, that's for sure. But at the same time, when this is the best thing that I do in the space, and I put a lot of effort into it. So if you like the analysis that I give here, it's squared or cubed. I would say it's absurdity cubed here, in terms of what you're going to see.
Oh, it's great.
It's tremendous, and it's also, I'm very proud that our listeners would do something like that. Not only support Matt and what he does, but also support our TTNL fans. So Shane and I will think of a fun game to do a giveaway to these fans that have been so supportive of all we do. Claudio thought the season ends right after Vikings, Bears, but we kept going and put in these long hours, breaking this stuff down. Some of these patrons that have supported us since day one deserve a little bit of what Matt Waldman brings to the page, along with the tape here. I know he's got the tape right here.
Yeah, I've got 20 minutes with multiple guys that we can look at. So
love it.
We can go through here. And the first one that was by request, and I like this guy too. So it's fun to look
wait,
at him.
Where are we going? Because is this the guy we talked about, Shane?
It's Mingo.
Yeah, Mingo.
Yes. So this is a guy that I said I have to leave the draft with Mingo on my team.
This is my son, Riley. This is his favorite player in the entire draft, and he is fixated on him becoming a Chicago Bear. Jonathan Mingo.
I can see why.
He's
a physical player.
Yeah.
He catches the ball well. Now, some people will look at him, and if you're not looking at the tape, you might look at him and go, well, Dontario Drummond was the guy kind of in that role last year, and he had over 1,100 yards, and Mingo didn't come near that this year. Well, Drummond had Matt Corral at quarterback, who was a pretty darn good quarterback. Can't speak for Dart yet, but I would say that from what I've seen, it was a different scenario. And this Drummond's a UDFA or a undrafted free agent who's on the practice squad as a futures contract with the Dallas Cowboys. This guy here, Mingo, much different story.
The angle. They call that the Vandy angle.
Probably, right there. But he does a good.
Looks like AJ Brown running through tackles
he does.
like that.
He does
a lot.
Yeah, he's a little slimmer than that. But what you do see with his game also is what he can do at the catch point.
Yeah,
he's getting interfered with here.
I couldn't have clicked that one better.
Look
at that. There we go. So
Waldman's broke down 40 hours of tape and hasn't stopped on that
pretty
clip.
much.
Yeah.
Give me a tape tonight here.
So there you go. So that's I mean, look, beautiful catch point. Sure, it's Central Arkansas, but it doesn't matter whether it was Central Arkansas or
the Damascus
Georgia
car bombs. Yeah, it's a hell of a catch.
Yeah, right at the front of the ball. Does a fantastic job bringing that ball in.
Look at that fucking catch.
Yeah, let's look at one more time.
Look at it coming over the top right there. Look at this.
I mean, that's directly over his head.
It's Marty Booker hands.
Yeah.
It is.
It's hard to track directly over your head. That's like Willie Mays type of tracking, if we're going to go outside the bounds of football here. But that's the kind of thing that you see with his game that Dontario Drummond wasn't doing. And that's the kind of thing that at the same time, you don't see a lot of these plays with his game, but it's still when they give him the opportunity, he takes advantage. Here's another one, catching it behind the head.
Behind the head, bad throw.
Yeah.
Listen, I was excited about Dart coming over there from USC, but he really did struggle this year.
Look at this. That's the Claypool. That's the Claypool play versus Miami this year.
Yeah.
Right
yeah.
How you catch that is beyond me.
And it's the same thing here. You can see him against number 2. You can see he's got some makings of some good release work. He's strong. He's willing to use his hands to counter. He's got that shed to work in downfield. He stacks his defender. Some of that's probably a little bit of the route of the ball, but still, look at him lay out.
Yeah.
He's NFL ready, and he's physically. Look at the strength. Number 2 is holding him through the route, hits him on the pad early before the catch. This is an eyes catcher and a hands catcher.
Yep.
That's what makes me so excited about the guy.
Yeah, and he has no problem with any little bit of contact right here at the top of the stem, to make that play. I think I cut it off at the catch because we saw it earlier before, so it may just go on to the next. Yeah, it goes on to the next. But again, tracking the ball. Here we are low and in front of him. I like that while he uses underhand position to get this ball, watch how he protects the ball. He turns his back. Instead of turning with the momentum where his feet's taking him, he turns against the grain so he lands on his back and doesn't
very smart
lose the ball. That's embracing the fall. That's what a guy like Justin Lieberman would say, who is a current wide receiver coach to a lot of pro players and worked at Rutgers as an assistant wide receiver coach. I've learned a lot from him, and you can find his stuff at the Sideline Hustle on YouTube. Give that a plug. I've based a lot of my evaluation criteria on things that he's done. And you can see that's what he calls embracing the fall. And that's a really good maneuver and shows awareness. And he can take contact too, not just from the ground. So,
Jonathan Mingo is 6'2", 220 pounds.
Yeah.
Yep.
For those of you asking,
10 and 3/8 inch hands. So I mean that
you could see the Marty Booker, grasp when it's over the top. If you rewound it, it would look like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's hook shot.
He's more explosive than Booker is. I mean, his speed. He's a 4.46 guy too, but
220.
Yeah.
Look at him patient on this curl route that's overthrown. Look at how he jumps backwards and catches the ball. I mean, look at that.
And then here, there's elements of a more complete game as a receiver, because one thing you want to see is, can you take that long break step? Can you drop the weight? Can you sit in that chair? Now, it's a short route. Most receivers can do that. But I think that you can see as he gets better, the key for him getting better as a complete route runner will being able to do what he's doing right here and do it at full speed in the intermediate ranges of the field. When he can do that, he's going to be closer to a complete receiver and a matchup problem, not just in zone or sneaking out, outside from the wing, because he plays a lot on the wing, as well as one-on-ones against cover 3 that's playing outside shade or any type of zone that's playing outside shade. The other thing I like is they use him as a blocker. You can see him right here where I'm circling him on the wing. You can use him on combo blocks. He sets up the puller right there, comes
Not
off
afraid.
that, takes on the
another
secondary
guy.
defender. Yeah. So we'll see it from this angle here. And you can see there's a nice little punch there. He does a pretty good job for a wide receiver to keep his head up. He will dip it a little bit right there.
Yeah, that's great position.
But good position, wide stance, hands tight, delivers the uppercut, rolls through the hips, and then comes off and gets in the way of number 10, the linebacker. So, you see the elements there. Here's another one outside. You can see that if you're going to get a slot receiver, Chicago Bears, you can get this guy later. And if your tight end ain't ready or one of them's dinged up and you can want to go more like a 2 tight end look, but, he can hook a guy.
Great job there.
Yeah.
Is that my son's favorite guy?
Is he a Zach Evans fan? Or is he talking about
guy? That's his guy, Zach Evans.
Well, he's got great taste because we're going to be talking about him later. So this is great because you guys didn't even know, but Zach Evans might be my favorite running back in this class. He may not be, he's not my highest scoring, but he might need to be mentioned there should be a top 3 guys mentioned. He has a chance to be that good. So
we're
your
on the
son's
same
got good
page,
taste.
Man. Well, my son's the one who brought it to me. He's like, Dad, I want this guy, Zach Evans. Then I'm watching the tape. I'm talking to Ryan Cox and Shane. I'm like, this kid, Zach Evans, makes me forget our previous running back.
Yeah, Zach Evans is a hell of a player. We're going to talk about him a good bit.
Here he is, though.
But here he is in the middle of the field, taking contact, making the play. It's
interfered with.
Yep.
And made the play.
Right there, underhand. Good job digging it out. Again, going deep. This is where, Bears fans, if he can block, got him here on the wing. You can do a little bit of these
wheel route
wheels up there.
And he's got speed.
Yeah.
Look at that focus catch.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with Mingo. If we want to move on, we can. If we want to talk about more,
I really want to just make a couple points to our fans about Mingo, because that's a guy that we might as well break him down with you, Matt, later with our surprise show with my dad, because Mingo's a guy. Every year I have my guys. I call them Shane and I have been doing this for a long time. These are guys that I absolutely love and have to have on the team. Like, I don't care what the talking heads anybody says, like Riley Moss out of Iowa, the corner. He's a white corner. We can't. No, there's no white corner. Got to move him to say. Shut the fuck up. Like, watch his tape. I just see Riley Moss making it. That kid has to be on my team. Like Mike Brown at Nebraska. That was my guy back then. Hafunga, who went to the 49ers. That's my guy. These types of football players. Mingo, the wide receiver, just to your point, if I had to choose JSN or Mingo, I'm taking Mingo every time. If I'm in a gym class, I'm taking Mingo. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I stand for. And I'm so excited that you and I are on the same page here. Mingo, to me, Shane, we were talking about him today. I didn't even know Riley loved him like that. It's like our sons love Ole Miss or something. It's
I don't. If you've ever been to a game at Ole Miss and been to the campus, I think a lot of dudes love Ole Miss.
yeah, for sure. It's like a religion there. That's for sure. My wife, who was a North Carolina basketball fan growing up in North Carolina when we lived in Athens, I lived for Athens for 23 years at the University of Georgia and went to school there and worked there. She's like, I'm going to go out this morning, Saturday morning in the fall. I'm going to go out this morning. I'll be back in an hour. I said, no, you won't. I'll see you in about 5. And she's like, how bad can it really be? I said, do you want to try it yourself, or do you really just want to listen to me? It's up to you, you know? And she said, I'm going to give it a shot. Yeah. 4 hours later, she was like, yeah. So I'm listening to you next time. Yeah. But yeah, man, Mingo's a fun player, and he fits what the Bears would want to do. He can give you a little bit of a hedge from the sense that you can use him in multiple ways, but and you can get him later. So that's
he's such a perfect fit with what they already have in place with Mooney, with the Claypool, with a DJ Moore. I think he's the perfect complement, and like you said, a guy that you can get a little bit later. I'm not comparing the players, but you brought up Anquan Bolden. He was drafted in I believe it was the 3rd round.
Yeah.
He got drafted.
Now Bolden fell because of his 40, but
yeah. He was a 4.7 guy, right?
Yeah. Russ Landy tells the story with me all the time because he was on the Browns there, and he said they had him as a top 10 overall pick until that 40. And the scouts were they were iffy about what to do about that, and they were angry in hindsight about that. But listen, Mingo's kind of Anquan Bolden's the best case. Mohamed Sanu is probably like is kind of the middle ground there. If he can be Mohamed Sanu, that's
nothing
still
wrong
not
with
bad.
that. No,
there's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong.
So if you want, we can go on to
so
Laporta.
Weird that you're bringing up these players here.
Yeah, it's fun.
Shane picked Laporta.
Yeah,
you didn't even ask me for a guy. I'm kind of offended. I didn't.
I almost missed. My daughter was having a meltdown, and I looked down and I said, "Oh shit, Matt DM'd me like an hour ago." So I got to read it, and I'm like, "Oh, I just gave him a quick list."
I knew that I knew a guy who worked at the post office would be up real early, so I figured that was the guy I was going to click on and ask. And you and I always talk, Phil, so I figured I'd hit Shane up and ask. So
yeah, it's funny because
you asked who else you going to ask but the smartest man.
That's right.
Exactly. You got to ask the smartest. But mentally, did Shane give you Mingo?
He gave me Mingo.
Okay.
He gave me Laporta, and he gave me 2 other guys. One of them I didn't choose. One of them I did, and then I added a few guys to the list.
Yeah.
So one of them is Zach Evans, who your son likes, and I
love
because
Zach
I love
Evans
him.
now.
See, so
he's a guy that I think the Bears have to get later in the draft, a running back. If you're going to get a running back, I hope it's Zach Evans.
Well, we're going to have fun talking about him. With
Laporta,
I'm a big fan. He's a savvy football player. He's not we're going to show you a couple blocking because I want to show you the extent of what you can expect from him, which is, I think, I'm trying to remember who said, I think it was Heath Cummings on a Dynasty show was on this week where he said it was Dan Schneider with CBS who said he dies slowly. So you can put him outside. He's going to be able to take on, lighter linebackers, some safeties. You're going to be able to work him across, help with a double team. And, he can help with combos like that, maybe come back to the outside and at least get in the way or run some interference there. He knows what to do. He's not he's not an earth mover as a blocker, but he can get better in that realm. It always takes a little while for some guys who are more natural receivers to become better blockers. But if you're at Iowa and you're making, you're at that effort, I don't like to logo scout, but we know that if you're at Iowa playing tight end and you've made it onto the field, you've done some work, So, he's going to get
question
better.
The Iowa offensive line coach, they do a great job there as well as the tight end coach.
For sure.
It's not a doubt.
No doubt.
The problem is the quarterback. And that kind of fucked my analysis of Laporta through early in this. Because I'm like, I don't see it because of the numbers here. So then I got to go back and then you see it. You see the movement. But go ahead.
Yeah, like the slant. Like nice little double swat here. He's quick. you know, when you look at the numbers from the metrics, they match up almost like Evan Ingram, and he has better hands than Evan Ingram did for most of his career.
Another
with the
Ole
Giants.
Miss player.
Yep, another old.
It's
We got
Ole
the
Miss.
Ole Miss connection. Oxford is in the house tonight, I guess. You know, William Faulkner. That might not be a good thing, but I don't know. But what number was William Faulkner? Probably 66. But like, you know, he would probably like that. I don't know. But you can see the quickness here. What I like is after the catch,
extends those hands.
You know,
look at that short, twitchy, dead leg move.
Yeah,
right there on a safety.
Smooth transition, nearly gets past the safety, gets downhill quick. He often makes the first guy miss. Here he is circled again inside, kind of tight here.
Dipped.
Yep. Behind him, not distracted at all with the defender over the top when he has to turn against the grain. So you like that. Also, you're going to see reasonably flat breaks with him. You see that line step that he just took, that inside out step. You got the break step, you got the drive step. That's the break step, drive, line, pretty flat. So that's keeping the defender at bay so that the defender can't cut off this pass with a flat break. And you're going to see that with his game a fair bit, is that he gets pretty flat breaks. So you're going to see him here again, kind of working the route, again, a flat break, but he also sets it up nicely. Let's see if I can go back here. Starts to the outside where the outside shade is. So he's selling the defender of saying, I'm going to try and take away your leverage. So I'm going to attack your leverage point. Now I'm going to square up and look back to the inside, give a little bit of a longer step to the inside, and then a flat break, get my head around.
And make the comes back boundary a little bit too to wall off that guy from undercutting it, which is a good sign of a good receiver.
It's a great point, because that's what you want, is not just a flat break, but a little bit of that come back to it for sure. That's a great point. So
he has a good feel with the ball in the air. Very good hands catcher.
Yes.
Again, look at that.
And then
he's at Illinois now. Look at that.
Yeah.
The Texas route, I call that. He's
Yeah.
going to press like he's going to go to that out, then come right underneath it. But look, snap your head right there and look for the goddamn ball.
Yep.
Kind of stumbles there, but great route.
Yeah, 40 plus yards on that play. So, you know, that's the thing. I mean, and he's taking on a safety.
Cole would have fell right there jumping.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Matt, when you look at this tight end group overall, I mean, it's really it's got to be one of the deepest ones we've seen in quite some time. Because I mean, I know Daniel Jeremiah was on there. He feels like you down in the 5th and maybe even 6th round, you're going to be able to draft contributors and maybe even a guy that could start for you. Yeah, and that's pretty rare.
It is. I've got 8 guys that I think can be a starter within 3 years.
Yeah.
And there's probably another 4 or 5 that can be good contributors, if not eventually start if they really make strides. A guy who was on Illinois who's with Michigan State, I like Daniel Barker as maybe an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
Because he's such a good route runner and pass catcher. You know, he's not great after the catch like Laporta. And Laporta's not great after the catch, but he's good. And here's the other thing. You know, you can play tight with a guy. You know, he can get into the defender.
Oh, my God.
Be a little physical.
Look at that. Great. And he's running through things.
Yeah, and look at
him turn
quick
his
steps.
pads. Yes.
Yeah.
We don't get that from Cole Kmet right there.
Yeah.
Everyone gets upset with me, but I'm like, a tight end right there to look at perfectly turn up the field and use your fucking size against that defender.
Yeah. And he's agile because, again, we talk about running backs. I like looking at running backs when it comes to how good of their control, balance, and agility is when they have to take a lateral approach, like the sideline approach, and then transition downhill. If you can do it in 2 steps as a tight end, that's pretty darn good. Look at the quick little just 1-2 right there, and that forces the cornerback to overrun the play. That's we're going to see it from here.
Perfect.
I think. Or
Oh,
maybe
it's
we
not-
won't. Sorry.
all right.
They didn't show it well on the all
It's
22.
fine.
That's the thing about all 22 that makes me laugh is that sometimes broadcast can be better.
Dude, the all 22 in Carolina, I think the guy that films it's M. Night Shyamalan's cousin. I'm like, can you widen the scope of it?
There's a college team on here that I literally want to like write and go. First of all, did you just? I know you said it and forget it, but it's raining outside. Can you please wipe the lens down every 5 or 10 minutes or something? Because you're killing me.
There's this thing called a huddle, right? Matt?
Yeah. Yep.
Wipe it during the
Wipe it
huddle
down.
and then get ready for the play. Jesus. Even
But you
Claudio
can see
knows that.
this is a nice stair step of a route here. The stair step technique where you basically, you got that little plan outside, but then you get past the man and he stays
nice.
downhill, sells the
Nice.
vertical downhill, and then turns back. And we're going to
Has
see
them
it
all over.
from the end zone. Yeah, it doesn't get the
Quarterback misses the fucking throw, but
yeah. But watch the stair step. He's on the left. That nice little move
Nice.
stays downhill right there. Gives
now
a
he
little
knows
bit of a yeah.
he knows he's got him on his back. So
Yeah.
to make that move outside, go ahead, man. I'm sorry. I
No,
get
it's
excited
good.
with that
You
shit.
go for it. It's all right. I don't want to hog the whole thing. Go for it.
No, it's great. The stair step route, but when the guy's on his back and you feel it right there, you know as a good route runner that you're gonna sell that you're either breaking outside or straight to the seam. That puts the linebacker in treacherous territory. Yeah, I want to see you win right here with acting, and he does. Look at him now. He separates, and look at the linebacker falling. If the quarterback gets it to him, that's going to be a huge play. But the quarterback way out throws it. He just puts it in there. You get one of those cradle catches, even that we saw Mingo do. Just get the ball to that big man.
Yeah. So you can see he can run inside routes. He can run against zone. He can use them on screens. You can use him, as a wing back, that second tight end, that F type of player. And he's tough after the catch because you can see here, he's not a huge guy, 246, but he's not going to go down easy. So, he keeps his feet moving. If you don't tackle him well, he's going to run through you. And
he has that thick upper body frame too. So he doesn't look 246. He looks like 256 sometimes, but he's so athletic.
And here's a good example of working into the back of the defender. The defender's playing that shade where he's got his chest inside. So he takes the back of the defender. And when he breaks, he doesn't stay close. He keeps sliding so that he can guarantee that the defender has work to do to get back to that ball.
Great dash pass here. Great route on that. Quarterback's coming to that left side. He opens up that press stem, get back to the football and give it. Look at a hands catch over the top too, Shane. There's no way. We don't see this. I haven't seen this from a tight end. That's why with Cole Kmet, we had Lauren Cox on 2 weeks ago, and we both were dreading. People. Yeah, we both were dreading a Cole Kmet extension. It just seems like it's going to happen, but just watching this, I don't see it.
Just talking about the tight ends in general, it's good roster building because like you said, Cole Kmet's going into a contract year. Tanyan signed a 1-year deal. So to me, it's absolutely critical you come away with one of these top end tight ends.
Yeah, I want to go back real quick to Shane's point, Matt. And I got some guys just going to throw some names out there because I'm with you. I have Schoonmaker high in my top 5 tight ends in this. A lot of people don't. So me and you, I'm surprised that was going to be my shocker. He's another my guy, Schoonmaker.
Well, he's coming up on this queue. We've got him on this list.
Okay.
So see, that's another one.
Tight end,
see why I didn't ask you? I didn't need to ask you.
Well, I want to ask you about this kid, Tucker Kraft. Where is your thoughts on him? A lot of people have been asking me about the kid. What is he? South Dakota State, right? The Jackrabbits.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him, real
You
quick?
know those old Looney Tunes with the big monster that was orange that
Oh my
needed
God,
the
look-
haircut? You know, I don't remember his name.
I didn't see this dude ask it, but what he's asking me at the same time I'm asking you is very weird. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's like he's big, he's strong, he can block pretty well, so that's a good start. The way that he catches the ball isn't bad, but routes need work. Like he's the guy that you're going to use dragging across the formation off play action and get him into the flat, and then he can run and move. But he's got to refine his routes. That's going to be the big thing with him. But he is included on the board of players that I would say, I think there are 7 guys who by next year will start. I think he's the 8th guy that can, he's 8th on my board, and I think he's a good prospect. So if in your case with the Bears, it'd be a good fit because you can give him a little bit of time to acclimate.
All right, I'm going to throw a couple names out. Is he in your top 7 or no? Brenton Strange.
No, he's just outside of that. I like his skill set. As you know, I think that there's some potential there as a blocker. Looking at what he has to offer, I just felt like there were more accomplished route runners who did a more diverse set of work, both as blockers and route runners, and what I saw from Strange. But he's also in that top 15 of players who I think can develop.
All right, 3 more. Ready? Real quick. I know Shane probably get upset. Cameron Latou from Shane's favorite University of Alabama.
I'm not a huge fan of him, but I'll let Matt go.
I'm there with you. He's outside mine. He's a second tight end in the league. He'll be a fan favorite because he can help as a blocker, and he's a good blocker who can get better. He's a pass clapper as a catcher. That can be disturbing in terms of what he does. But he does make some good catches, but he's not really dynamic. He functioned well in the Alabama offense. I don't think it's going to translate to a high degree in the pros.
Davis Allen, Payne Durham, and Zach Kuntz.
Love it. Okay, let's go. And Zach Kuntz is the analytics wet dream in the sense that if you take a look at Andre Giosivas, I don't know how to pronounce it. You do, Shane. I know you know how to pronounce this dude's name.
It's the kid from Princeton.
Yes.
It's Yeshovis, I think.
Yeshovis, yes. Yes, thank you.
Yoshivas.
Oh, Yoshivas. Thank you.
Yes.
Andre Yoshivas. If you look at his combine, it was fantastic for a wide receiver. If you look at Zach Kuntz's combine, his was almost better in every category, and he's 4 inches taller and 50 pounds heavier. Okay, so that's awesome. Doesn't show up quite on the field as a route runner yet, or as a pass catcher. He's a serial clap attacker, but also he can make the tough catches. So he's kind of like a Jimmy Graham starter kit that you hope that it can get there one day.
Great comp right there.
So we can overpay him in 14 years.
That's right. So you would exactly, so he's that guy that, like, if you want to take a chance in like the 8th round, we don't have 8 rounds anymore. No, if you want to take a chance like in the 6th or 7th round or as UDFA, I'd be fine with that. Swing for the fence, dart, throw, whatever. And then who was the guy who you mentioned?
Davis Allen and Payne Durham.
Let's go with Davis Allen next. Davis Allen, you can win above the rim. You can put him on sail routes. You can use him a little bit as a blocker, though he's kind of that top heavy kind of high cut tight end that I just absolutely am not enamored with as a player, because they like Luke Stocker, type of player, but maybe a little more coordinated than Luke Stocker was. But
he's now coaching the Bears.
Yeah, see, there you go. Luke was listen, Luke was good at Tennessee, but he's a little too high cut for that position, if you ask me, at a high level. And I think Davis is the same way. Payne Durham, I love this kid. Now, I
There we
don't think
go.
he's
There we go.
I don't think he's that guy that if he starts, you're gonna be like, he's gonna be looking over his shoulder every year.
Yeah.
Because he's not fast. He's slow as molasses. But he is
huge.
He is big, he's strong, he's combative, he's a good blocker who can get better. He's quick enough in that area to be decent with blocks where he can handle people in a phone booth. He's good on that. Short routes, he's going to get open in zone. He's a savvy zone runner. He's good that way. Man to man, forget it. It's not likely to happen. But here's the thing. Doesn't matter if you've got a quarterback who realizes who Payne Durham is, which I said this in a couple shows. I think Payne Durham might have the best hands of any player in this draft. I'm not talking tight end. I'm just talking any player. He's a fucking vacuum cleaner. He's
Dan Marino's favorite fucking player.
That's right. He'd be Keith Byers. Okay,
exactly. Marino would find it. Poof, he would fucking catch it falling down, right?
But between two people, low getting hit, high over his head, behind
He had a couple
him.
of those. We have Riley and I have season tickets in Syracuse. He had a couple of those against Syracuse this year. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How did he
Third and
sucked them in?
13.
Yeah. Third and 13.
Four guys hanging off.
He might make a 10-yard catch on 3rd and 13 and not
Yeah.
get any further, but it may be an impossible catch that he just made. He's got great hands. And so if somebody goes, if a quarterback just goes, fuck it. I could see a veteran quarterback after like a camp or two, literally going to the coaches going, what the fuck are you telling me you're not putting him in the game? Like, you need to put his ass in the game. He's slow. I don't give a fuck whether he's slow. What I care about is whether he catches the ball. This first round guy who can't catch a cold is like, that's great that he can run down the field, but I can zip this. I can we need him. Just give him to me in the red zone. You know, like you could see like somebody like going to town, like going toe to toe with the coach going, that guy. That's
He's
the
a Waldman guy. I'm glad
he is not as a fantasy guy if you're a fantasy person, but as a pure football, I love this kid, man. Yeah. So, and I found out he grew up around the corner from where I live, actually, too. During after I graded him, and I was looking at it, I was like, well, hell, he's literally 20 minutes away from where I live. But that's funny. Yeah. So yeah, those three guys are interesting.
There you go. We're getting a lot of draft talk. If you're just tuning in, we got the great Matt Waldman of the.
I gotta ask him about one more tight end, or my.
Oh, you got another one.
Just one more, real quick.
Ivan Vargas. There he is.
Riley is a Josh Wiley fan from Cincinnati.
He's fun. He has good catch radius. I think there's potential there for him as a blocker. If there's a guy that I think that could become a starter in a second contract, that would be one of those guys on the list for sure. That's a good choice. You know?
Joshy Wiley.
See, I'm glad I don't have to trash y'all's kids.
Yeah.
See, I mean, like that hasn't happened yet. But I mean, you know, but I have a feeling y'all
you're a nice guy
because y'all can too. So like,
it's,
you know, so we can talk a little trash if it happens.
Yeah, we don't pull any punches.
Yeah, they good choices here. So I think we're going to wrap up with this guy pretty soon here. But you can see, you know, he can make the tough catch, and what I love is you consistently see this with this game. If he's high pointing, catching it behind him, outside his frame, immediately downhill.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Any tight end that jumps but gets downhill, sign me up. Let's see if he jumps here. He did tiny bit jump for me, but you see, but not the Cole Kmet leapfrog game. Now he's
the footwork control. Look at how he gets square. He stays square right here. Defender breaks down, spins off that with a tight spin there. I like that. So
Ivan Vargas in the house tonight. There he is.
So I think we're going to be. Let's see if I went. Yeah, this one I like because
new guy.
You have a zone. This is Iowa, and you're going to see Laporta 3rd and 12. You're going to see that there's basically a triangle that's pretty tight right here that's going to get even tighter as he makes this break. So he makes a really tight break. It's a good throw. and you can't really see there, but he does a good job with the sharp break on that.
He leans into the get that first. He knew where he was too, man, on tape.
Another
Again, look
tight
at that.
transition.
There it is. Shane, this is Cole Kmet just stands there and gets tackled at the 40. Watch this. I mean, if you're watching tape, watch. He's at the high. He high pointed that pass. He plants and dips and moves forward. That stuff, that's the little stuff. Now, can Cole work on that? Yeah. But this stuff right here, I mean, look at him. Dipping his pads, driving his legs. And this quarterback, there's what, 3 quarterbacks that Iowa used. A bunch of them struggle. 7 was struggling. This is number 4 here. Where's Caden Whitlow? He'll tell you.
Yeah.
Again, look at him know where the first down is, Matt. High point eye catch.
Yep. Mingo catch right there, like we saw earlier.
He's catching with his hands and his eyes. Oh, this tight
Watch
end
the
screen.
patience here. Watch the patience.
Oh, nice. Nice setup.
And the little hurdle over the trash, gets low, takes the hit.
A guy that
good press.
See that hurdle over the trash, as Matt Waldman calls it? This is intuitive running. He doesn't even really realize he's doing that. That's how athletic this kid is. Oh, squaring up. Nice.
Behind his break,
right
too.
Look at that. Right off the break. Look at that separation against Penn State. Is that Brisker there?
Is that number 9 right there? Or number 1?
Number 1.
Number 1, yeah.
It might have been 2000 and last year. Awesome.
Another one here. Look how he sells to the safety right here with that little look to the outside.
Oh, great
safety.
Route. One of my favorite plays for the tight end.
Isn't that Joey Porter Jr., number 9? Oh, well, I mean, might be this year.
Yeah.
Is this year's tape or?
I believe it is.
Okay, so it wasn't Brisker then.
Again, he has to turn back into
leverage concepts.
Yeah, and the defender's in his chest as he makes that catch.
Quarterback should be throwing to the fucking slot.
Yep.
Just me as a coach.
Yep, for sure. Now we've got now Shane and I have another mutual favorite, which is Xavier Hutchinson.
I love this.
There we go.
And he's a 4.5 guy.
Yep.
He's not unbelievably fast, but what he does well, I've shown this play. This is from my scouting glossary on what a transition looks like. And I spent 6 minutes on this. I cut this up so that we can go quickly. But really, you just see this quick pass again. See that tight transition downhill?
Hands again.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Boom. That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's the thing that like Marquise Lee could never do, which was like he'd lose 5 yards to try and gain 50. And it was really never that good. So, and he knew where the defender was because pre-snap, he knows he's got the safety over top. He's got this outside shade defender. He knows where the defender is going to be outside shade. So when he makes a catch, watch how he gives a dip to the inside and then turns right inside through it. He doesn't waste time actually, spinning to the out, back to the inside here. He actually just spins outside, but makes such a tight step here, right there, nice tight plant, and then that second foot inside to really make a tight move downhill. That's really precise footwork. That's difficult.
Yes, it is. It goes unnoticed. The 40 time doesn't tell this.
Yes, this is what Keishawn Butte does pretty well. This is what Robert Woods did well. That
exactly.
When
you're a slot receiver, this is what you see how he pressed. Went to his upfield shoulder and then gets outside but comes down. Yeah. This is Xavier Hutchinson of Iowa State here.
And watch this nice little slant right there.
Oh, wow. The double.
Yeah.
Just like the tight end from Iowa. He gets him on his back, pressed like he was going back out, put this guy in a tipsy-turvy world.
Yeah. See, I mean, he's a tough kid.
Fran does a great job.
Yeah, Fran's great. Fran is absolutely great.
He's throwing the ball here.
Yeah. So we get a little versatility.
A little Marty Booker.
Yeah. See? You want that little element to your game. Why not?
Hey, I'm down for it.
And that guy has an angle.
You know who he reminds me of, honestly?
Yeah?
Jordy Nelson. He reminds me of fucking Jordy Nelson.
That's a great comp.
Look
I
at
wish
him
I had that.
understand. Look at him understand the body behind him.
Yep.
And you separate by keeping them there, and you then attack the football. It's like I'm watching Jordy back then at Kansas State, man.
That's a great pick. That's a great comp. And you can see here, again, he does good with pacing, too. You can see that he attacks fairly fast, but he can do a little bit with the pacing to even go a little faster.
That is just – the 40 time does not matter.
No.
See, going up against my boy Riley Moss here, yes.
And watch this. Outside his frame, over his head, leaning away downfield. Yeah.
Look at the play he makes here. Because the defender, you can't cover this because it's thrown over the backside of your head here. You're turning with him. Look at the adjustment here by this receiver.
And he owns the boundary because he's staying inside the numbers or at the numbers until late.
Oh, man. This is great. Great for you guys to see. I'm sure there'll be 12 articles from other networks tomorrow about it, but
let's see if we can skip this because we already saw this play. All right, so where are we here? Okay. Let's see what we got here.
Oh, that's the layout again.
Yeah.
He turns and cradles it. Here's against Kansas.
That. Yeah, I think I just put this in here by mistake.
That's okay.
I doubled up on it. So let's get past it.
It's a sign. He's going to be a bear.
All right. Now we're going to get to.
So that was Xavier Hutchinson.
Xavier Hutchinson. Now
we had to end it on my boy, Riley Moss.
That's fine. We're having all sorts of fun connections tonight, things we didn't intend. But here's Zach Evans. Let me tell you a little story about Zach Evans. 5-star recruit, signed with the University of Georgia. One thing University of Georgia understands is running backs. They may not understand other things. They do understand running backs. I know that. Okay. I wouldn't move to a state if they didn't understand running backs. I'm just going to tell you that growing up in Cleveland under the shadow of Jim Brown, but the joke is, and that's why I'm on a Bear show, because they understand running backs. But here's it's all together, right? So 5-star recruit. Then he had this, what people called a quixotic recruiting journey, because he decided not to sign with decommit from Georgia, associated with numerous teams, wound up at TCU as a 3-star recruit because they all got sick of him changing his mind. What they didn't know about Zach Evans is that his grandfather was the patriarch in his family, was really the kind of the biggest influence. He was a good student all the way through high school and college. 3.75 GPA as a freshman at TCU. His grandfather died the year before he got recruited. He decided to take on the recruiting himself because his parents, from what I understand, weren't quite in the position to be able to provide that kind of guidance to him. Okay. So would you expect an 18-year-old who's a 5-star recruit not to want to keep a cell phone on him probably at all times? Probably so.
Right.
So he got suspended from his championship game in high school because he wouldn't give up his cell phone the night before, as per policy of the team. Okay. The team said he's a good kid. We had some run-ins with him, but he was a good kid overall. And the run-ins weren't that was what the media described it as. They said it was just some minor immaturity things. And I would think that if your leadership base died the year before, probably the biggest decision of your life,
right,
and you had to feel like you had to take it on your own, you probably made some immature decisions. So he'd have to be amazing. Goes to TCU, plays well. We're going to watch him at TCU for a little bit. But first of all, nice little make you miss here. Is this great tackling? No, by no means is this great tackling. But also the fact that he attacks first, gets his forearm in there, and he has the strength against this linebacker to keep him off him while driving his legs. and pull through and then have the burst. Still a nice play.
When we get skinny in the hole.
Yep. And this is a theme with him because, again, who does he stay tight to? Does he veer over to the unblocked man? No. He stays towards his blocker. He hugs his block, pads down, hips forward, pads forward. He's aligned. Skinny.
Must just so slick and skinny in a hole.
Yeah.
Jamal Charles, Clinton Portis, all those guys.
Yeah.
You know, your favorite lube, whatever. You know, but there
Guard
you go.
doesn't do a good enough job. And to Matt's point, look at him dip his pads to get under the whiff. Like the guard can't handle the cutoff block there.
Yeah.
His own block. So 93 does a good job there. Is that Texas?
Yeah.
So,
and the big criticism with Zach Evans from like the casual film watchers is A, he's not creative, and B, that he makes bad decisions. And it couldn't be further from the truth because he's a very mature decision maker. He makes blocks work for him. He takes what's there.
Yep.
And then he can also create the open field when it needs to be. At Ole Miss, where he transferred to, he got to be Mr. Outside in the Mr. Inside Outside game with Quinshaw Junkins, who we're going to be talking about in probably 2-3 years. Okay, he's a good interior runner who led one of the 2 top freshman running backs in college football last year. So he got to be a little bit about Mr. Outside. People said, well, Kendre Miller was better than Evans, and that's why Evans left. I don't think so. I like Evans. I like Miller. Miller is in my among my guys that I think can be a starter immediately. But the real truth is that Gary Patterson this time last year was complaining to the fan base at TCU that they were about to lose 30 players because they didn't have their NIL deal squared away the way the school should have squared it away. And he was saying that we might lose 30 guys. No one thought TCU was going to be in the national championship game last year.
Right.
And especially this time last year when he was saying we might lose 30 players. Well, Zach Evans, it's not like he went to Kent State or Central Arkansas. He went to Ole Miss. He went to a mid-level SEC team to transfer. That's a lateral move from TCU, if you ask me. And maybe he thought it was going to be a move upward. So we'll get to hit some of his TCU tape. But
this is his TCU tape from before he transferred. You can see the wiggle, the bounce. I'm with you, Matt. I mean, I've openly admitted my son bringing it to my attention. Like,
and look at the press downfield. Look at the press here. He doesn't immediately try and outrun this cornerback. He has the wherewithal to set up that block inside and work back out.
Exactly.
We're gonna see
and that's a sign of a great runner is the guy that doesn't rely on his speed alone because this kid can move.
Yeah.
And he's 212 pounds.
Look at him hug this block. This is very important. Bijan Robinson in 2021 would not do this to save his life. Bijan Robinson in 2021 would have already got his way towards number 4 or whoever this linebacker is. I can't see the other number after 4, but he would have been in the middle of this hole and would have attracted this defender a little quicker. He hugs this block, stays as tight as possible, maximizes the space there. Raheem Mostert's great at this. That's one of the best skills Raheem Mostert has, and this works really well on gap plays, which you're seeing a lot when you run power, you run counter, hugging blocks like that, even zone plays where you can do this. But then watch this, the curvy linear movement here. And that's not a cut. He just bends like Dalvin Cook around that and then spins through it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And that's not, you're going to tell me he's not a creative runner. You didn't watch TCU tape if you tell me that he's not a creative runner.
Well, there's a lot of these guys out here doing it. As Shane calmed me down. Surface level bullshit. Just to get clicks, the sunshine and rainbow networks out there, just throwing shit out there just to get clicks. It's just not going to be. I'm going to fight for the truth. I'm going to have people like this genius on our show, Matt Waldman, who break down the truth in tape. And every time I see Zach Allen, I see the opposite. I see a creative, instinctive, angry athlete that looks to freaking score. I mean, the goal of a running back is obviously to know the down and distance, but always be scoring. Always be scoring. Like, those are the guys. Drive.
Look at him hug the block again with that outside defender there.
Beautiful.
He does this all the time. It's just natural to him to do it. Again, more curvilinear movement.
I mean, look at what he did to the safety there. And the back safety too. The fields. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the dip. The wing. The receiver comes in late to get a piece of a guy.
Yeah.
Watch this, and watch him get through this whole. Oh yeah.
And he finishes strong. Now, he was at 202 at the combine, 208 at his pro day. He probably ran more around 208 to 215.
What do you got, Shane?
I was laughing at Ivan because I think we heard the same clip moment at the same time.
Oh.
Gotten that whole, oh yeah.
Football brings out the best in you. I mean, if you're new to the locker room, all the players would be laughing.
I heard you say it. I
the hip
down
flip
Ivan,
to get into the hole. What more can you say? You know, so.
As long as you got that hip flip getting in that hole
and driving through. So there we go.
You gotta hit that clitoris portus.
There we
go. You're talking about the running back.
And this is a nice play too, because we talked about transitions earlier with tight ends, and one step. He works towards the far side.
Like the dead.
One step right downhill. Now he falls, but
trips.
whatever.
There's nothing worse than being that in that moment.
Is that Steve Young?
That was the tough part of the play. The fact that he could do that.
Oh yeah.
I know some analysts would be like, well, he's not really that good because he fell on the 3.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah.
You know, they have Aaron Rodgers, so those are 2 losses.
Yep. And he finishes with the pads. So there you go.
Here he is. Look at him. Dip. Drive right there. I got to watch what I say with these guys.
Now, I like this play, and I show this on Twitter because you've got a puller here. You're going to see that as he works to work the inside out shoulder of the puller, that's where he ideally would like to go.
This
is Arkansas.
Oh, that's my guy, Drew Sanders there.
So as he gets here, you know, this hole's cut off. You're not going to be able to get that. He sees that. He's not going to try and cut back on a gap play most of the time anyway. The leverage here advantage is to the defense to the right side. So what does he do? Well, he knows that this defender's got the advantage. But watch him press that a little bit to the inside, and then he's just going to take it right downhill. That's creative. That's creative in under duress because the play isn't designed to go there. He wants to work to the 7 of the shoulder of 71 and then work his way outside to the 1 and get outside this linebacker right here. But it's fucked up because Arkansas fucked it up. They did a great job with it. So instead of him trying to do what a lot of backs with his cutting ability would do, which is go way outside and wind up wrapped up, he does the Frank Gore thing, which is efficient steps straight downhill.
Watch him pause it right when he is getting this defender. Watch him squat and turn his body, right? One more frame right there.
Yeah.
So right there, he's decided as a running back, this is the opposite of what narratives are saying. This is creative. This is instinctive. He's put his balanced strength leg into the ground, fully knowing contact is coming, and he's going to get low. And watch him get through there with that plant leg exploding.
Almost clean.
Come on. It's almost clean. It should never have been clean.
Yeah.
My guy 54, the center there, kind of works himself back. He does a good job there.
Yeah.
Because he gets beat here.
I once watched a play of Anthony McFarland out of Maryland with the Steelers his rookie year against the Chargers. And he had a play or against the Jaguars, and he had a play like where it was dead to rights like this, not necessarily a gap play, but it was a dead to rights play like this, and he fucked it all up to hell. And I thought to myself, it was during the year, and I taped it and put it on Twitter, and then I said, I wondered to myself, what would Frank Gore do? And I literally the next game found Frank Gore with the Jets against the Chargers. First play of the game. I shit you not. Same situation. And he does this. And he gets 15 on the play. You know, instead of losing 4. This is the difference between you want backs who can do this. You know, and you want backs who understand. I'm going to show you back-to-back plays where he's working behind his puller, 76. Here's one where he stays the course outside because he reads the leverage of 17 very well right here. He recognizes it and just stays outside and gets downhill.
Subtle stiff. 17 has him dead to rights.
Yeah.
But he puts his hand right into his chest. Look, 17 has contained. I don't know what he's dancing for. Sorry. Just effortless. Go back one other thing because I want to show this offensive guard right here that's right in the middle of your screen. That's a guy in the draft that I was telling Ryan Cox and Shane Boker from Ole Miss. The more I was watching of Zach Allen, the more I'm loving and Mingo, the more I'm loving 64 here. So I'm throwing him out there so they could write stories about him tomorrow too.
So I'm going to say it for your son because he's going to correct you tomorrow. It's Evans. So
did I say
Zach Allen?
Allen. I said Allen again.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm the worst with names.
I am too half the time because I don't even listen to what the broadcasters are saying, so I can't pronounce half the guys, and I feel like I'm disrespecting them. So I'm always apologizing, like I don't know this guy's name. I'm sorry. I've watched him for 6 months, but I don't know his name.
So you're not going to be talking about the Pitt running back tonight, then, right?
Abanaconda. I think that's the only one I can say.
My Anna Banda Conda
right. Now here's a similar run. Next play, actually.
Look at 64 right there in the middle. Double. Look at him.
And this time he does a good job of staying inside out because he reads again number 42 and 42's position, and he realizes he needs to keep it inside a little bit before he makes that cut outside.
Let the guy turn. I love it.
Yep. And in the second level, watch him be patient downhill and then the late cut on number 2.
Exactly. Instead of taking on a collision there, he dead legs in patience.
Yeah.
Number 1, he sets up that block, then he dead legs and doesn't. Yeah. Oh man.
He's stair-stepping his way outside.
John Centino wanted to know, can he catch?
That's the question people say, is that he can't catch, because I've seen some drops with him, but they're like, the drops I've seen for the most part are throws where they're like Michael Vick short throws, meaning that it's a bullet thrown behind you, you know, and he'll drop those, but he can catch the ball. He's a competent receiver. And I think he can get better in that area. Well, I'll show a couple of catches, I think, later in this as well, where he catches the ball, but he uses the correct hands positions. It's just a matter of he doesn't have elite hand-eye coordination, but he's got good enough to be in the league. Penetration here, gets tripped up, balance touch, still squirts through for another 5 yards.
Look at this.
I wish I could see the red zone view of it, but
I know.
I think the Arkansas guy went to go get himself some boiled peanuts or something. Or is that only a Georgia thing? I don't know. They're disgusting either way.
Yeah.
Again,
yes.
And what's great about I mean, again, skinny, tight through the crease, tight to the blocker, hugs the blocker. So he forces the defender to reach for him rather than be able to wrap him. That's why you want to be tight to your blocks. And then here comes the linebacker hitting him in the side with his back, bounces off that.
Dude, I love this kid, man.
Yeah. His balance metrics that I've tracked, when I track games, I track whether they're reaches, wraps, or hits, and whether they won and who they won against in terms of DL, linebacker, or defensive back. he stands out as one of the better guys in terms of yards after contact in those metrics. So that was Zach Evans. I didn't have any catching because there weren't anything great with him. It was just outlet routes. He's going to catch outlets for you. But don't be fooled. This kid might drop to the 4th round over that he had a turf toe. Somebody says he had assortment of injuries, but I don't know if they're how serious they were. I haven't been able to see medicals. So it's medicals that might drop him. It's the fact that he had all these other crazy shit that really isn't that crazy. Again, 3.75 GPA. High school said he was a good kid. He's not gotten in any real trouble about anything, you know. And why wouldn't you leave to Ole Miss if you get a better NIL deal from the SEC than TCU dragging their feet and you knew you were a 5-star prospect? Projected, I have no idea. I think I would bet he's probably considered one of those 4th or 5th round guys.
Yep.
You know,
and the Bears have that first pick of round 4. Oh, they actually have 2 4th rounders. I don't know if this is a good comp. I watch him. Do you remember the kid from South Carolina that got hurt?
Marcus Lattimore?
Lattimore.
Oh, you know, I don't remember. I have to look back at Lattimore's tape to look. Lattimore was probably about 10 pounds heavier.
Yeah, he was. He's around 220. Yep.
Yeah.
I do remember that. But
polished guy.
I see a little bit of that.
I like it.
Yeah.
I honestly, Zach Allen is a guy that he's one of those me guys. I want him on my team. Yeah. That's the kind of runner I like. I don't see any of what the narrative is. I see instincts. I see creativity. I see a burst.
Yep.
And I see a want to on every run. That kind of stuff matters to me.
And if
his
you want to see,
is great too.
And listen, I went on Twitter and I did a thread on Twitter that's about 10 videos deep. And all I basically showed were shitty gains, like, 2-3 yard runs, 1 yard runs, and showed you why his decision making was good on all those runs. So that I was literally saying, I know you're going, why are you showing me all these bad runs? And I'm like, because I want to show you what it means to be a good NFL decision maker. And this is what you want to be looking at, not just he ran through the open field. So so we're going to look at Schoonmaker now.
Zach Evans. Yes, I want Zach Evans.
Yes.
Did I say Allen again?
You did, but it's okay.
Jesus Christ.
Matt, real quick before you go on that, where do you stand on Gibbs?
I think it took me a while to come around on him. Okay.
Yep.
But I'm okay. Anybody who tells you he's Alvin Kamara forgets that Alvin Kamara has Zen-like contact balance that has not been seen in this league for a long time and breaks tackles like a motherfucker. Gibbs is not a tackle breaker like that. He's tough for his size, but he's not that. He's a good pass catcher who can become a good receiver with the routes, but it's still going to take a little bit of time or seasoning, an opportunity for him to do that. All that said, I joke that when I comp him, I say he's between 2 Falks. He's between Kevin Falk and Marshall. He's not, if he's Marshall, he's got the quickness of feet like Marshall. He has the burst like Marshall. But he's not.
I just don't want to get fucked
like that. Yeah, you don't want to get fucked with. That's right. But he's a good back, and he's my number 2 guy.
Partial folk.
Partial
Falk.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
He's no Mbappe, but
no Mbappe.
There he goes.
He's things. Oh, I can't. Oh, I wish I could say this.
I love Claudio.
Let's just say he's things that people on the right extreme of some religions say, oh, it doesn't really count if you do it that way. You know?
Right.
He's that kind of fuck.
Yeah.
So there we go.
There you go. There you go.
I don't want to be too insulting.
Just
there we go.
Just the
tip. Here's the Schoon man.
Yeah. And again, you want to see, can he make plays that he has to adjust his body like that, take contact to do it. And you're not going to see him matched up one-on-one a lot. You're going to see him in these situations because he's such a good blocker. But the quickness is there. I mean, you can see how quick he gets in and out, how he attacks. You know, nothing wrong
and
with
it's
that.
thrown behind him. He focused hand catch.
Yep.
Here he is running the shallow cross.
And that same two-step thing we saw with Laporta.
Yep.
Right there.
There.
And a spin on top of it. So these are things that you can look and say, how does this translate to route running? Well, if you can control your feet after accelerating downhill like that, and then make a quick little two-step like that. Is it bop? You know,
Bop.
is it Hanson? Yeah, I don't know.
As long as it isn't riddly diddly dee, diddly diddly, twiddly diddly.
We're getting slap
We're
happy
good.
here. This is
We're
too
good.
much fun.
Here
But-
he is. Outside release. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah. It's little things like this that sometimes you can see on the tape and go, all right, maybe that can extend to the intermediate game. Maybe there's some potential there.
I don't know why so many people just don't see it with this guy. I always say to Shay, I'm like,
It's got to be blatant for people to see it. I think that's probably part of it, is that they need to see it look exactly like Travis Kelce or look exactly like Rob Gronkowski for them to say the player's good.
Yeah, that's the problem.
All right,
That
Jeff.
if they aren't Kelsey or if they aren't Gronk, then a lot of people are just like, yeah, they're not good.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this catch here.
Tight break there. And then he kind of stacks the defender here, knowing where
Yes.
the defender's position is. You know, I mean, I don't know if you'd call that a stack because you're going horizontal, but some people would say that was drifting out of the route a bit, and maybe it was based on where the throw was. But
Well, he knew he
good
had to
catch.
get the depth, and
Yeah.
he focuses hand catch again, going to the ground. You also see what you talked about, embracing the ball here.
Yeah.
Turning his body to make sure.
Yep.
Think about this, though. In a game of football, especially as a tight end, you're limited to certain amount of reps and receptions, especially in Harbaugh's offense or in the NFL. You
Yeah.
got to make the most of those.
So those were the ones I showed. I didn't show a lot because I knew that he could block, but
Yeah.
it shows us really, again, the two steps, the ability to
Get
kind
up
of
the
drop your
field.
weight a little bit, get up the field. All that's there in his game. See the weight drop there? Not bad. The bend in the hips, the flexibility, the combine numbers support that. What you're seeing is a guy who probably can be better on the outside as a detached receiver than people realize. He just didn't have the opportunity at Michigan.
The other thing is, Matt, rewind it one more time on that play. He doesn't choose to just continue the route with the grass. See how he stops, hesitates, and looks for the sticks.
Yep.
Again, tight ends would run out towards the 40 and just continue running and kind of just body him. Maybe you reach for the first. He decides to get to the shortest point between 2 points. It's a straight line.
So
Get up the field. I love that.
I want
Chain
to
moving.
I want to end this tape session by showing you a player I never get to talk about. No one's asked me about him. No one's ever going to ask me about him, but I love this guy, and he's in my top 15 of running backs.
Okay.
And he is a rugged 6'1", 235 football player who I love. Zach Zenner, the former Lion, actually I think has worked with him. He was a highlight at the Hula Bowl. He's probably going to be an undrafted free agent.
Zenner, former fullback at what? North Dakota, was he?
Yep.
South Dakota,
Yep.
right?
And played a little bit for the Lions and didn't do too bad for himself.
He was a fucking good effort, hair on fire dude.
Yes.
That was a dude.
Well, this is a dude too. This
All
is
right.
Christopher Brooks, who played at BYU last year. He was at Cal for a couple of years. Number 34. And we'll get to watch this a little bit from here. He is a pile mover. He is quick enough with the feet. He drops the pads. He's
Look
a
at the
load to
effort.
bring down. This is a Gus Edwards, Samaje Perine type of guy at his worst, if you ask me. Can he catch the ball?
Getting paid.
Yeah. Watch this. Can he catch? Yeah. He can do a little high point. He can transition and throw a guy aside and get downhill.
Nice.
Yeah.
Looks like Raymond Harris right there.
There you go. The U-back. The ultra back.
There he is. He did look like him there.
This is an old school running back.
Look at him get low and drive.
I was going to say, is this clip from 1987?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm very good at Photoshop. I just put it that
Look
way.
at this. Oh,
wow. Legs
I like how the body lean goes down, run through. Here he is.
Little
Catching
wheel
the
route.
Catching
Yeah.
the wheel, Ivan. It's no bicycle kick, Claudio, but it is a wheel.
And he's nifty in short space. I mean, if you're quick enough to be able to spin inside a safety who drops his head like that, that's not bad.
This guy reminds me of Raymond Harris. I swear to God.
You guys just had him on the show, didn't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did. We did.
Here he is.
He's reminding me of him. Shout out to
Catching the
you,
ball.
Raymond.
Yeah.
Catches
Ohio
the ball.
State.
Is this Stanford?
Yep.
The rivalry game right here. How do
And
you
look-
run in the rivalry? That matters to me.
Penetration, 2 different points of penetration.
You never nothing's wrong with that. I'll tell you that.
I love how Matt's just buying into the whole.
Claudio just woke up.
We're over.
He knows us. He knows us well enough.
Yeah. These are the types of things Cecil Lammy and I would joke about, but couldn't really say too much about. And then one of us would die laugh on the show on the Audible on Football Guys. This
2 points of penetration. He gets through that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Nifty footwork. He can be efficient. He cuts the stride length, good balance, keeps his feet under his pads, uses his pads. Okay, let's see. There's the next one here. Here's another one like that.
Oh, I love this play. The delay counter.
It's got a little James Conner to him.
Yeah, that's his upside comparison for me. I didn't mention him, but see, you nailed it. Because I didn't mention him, but those 2 guys I mentioned are kind of the low end. If he gets a little better, maybe he's Mike Anderson. If he's better than that, he's James Conner.
Yeah.
But the Gus Edwards thing is kind of like the low end for me.
Man, you picked a kid like this up as a UDFA. That just, like you're
Look
saying,
at that. The patience there.
Yeah. Yeah. The beginning of the play is everything. Let's look at it again. You caught it.
Yeah. Right there.
Yeah.
Just feel that.
And he'll flip the field if he gets an advantageous situation like that, but he ain't going to run down. He's not going to run down NFL or beat a lot of NFL linebackers 40 yards. He might get 20, 25.
Yeah, but you put this kid on the Soldier Field turf in December.
Yep. And it's a big fuck you to the defense.
He better be a mutter.
Is he a fucking mutter?
If he's not a fucking mutter, get him out.
Here's patience for
mutter.
you. Here's a counter. You're going to see the backside man, 73, get a little contact, drives him back a little bit too slow. So now he's got to adjust.
He
does a
pushes
good
him in
job
the ass.
adjusting
Look at
through
him.
it. Yeah.
That's USC they're going up against there.
Yeah. Christopher Brooks.
There he is.
Yep.
Look at him take on that guy. Had a straight shot at him. He stood him straight up.
Yep.
Well, how much does he weigh?
235.
Yeah.
6'1", 235.
That's Raymond right there.
Yeah.
And then numbers. I'm throwing it old school.
I definitely
he looks
see
old school.
Yeah.
I definitely see the James Conner comp big time.
Yeah. And then here he is at BYU. He can run zone or gap, line back, does all those very well. You can see the patience here and the nice little the press and then the flip of the hips downhill.
Oh, he transferred over to BYU?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I see this guy. I see him again.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, how
Yeah.
can you be a fan of like a Midwestern NFL team,
Right?
Yeah, not
and
love
not
this.
love this shit? Yes.
Yeah, I love this shit.
Yeah.
I love
This
that
is,
right
this
there.
is like
7
Kevin
yards.
Mack, you know. This is also
Right.
Kevin Mack-esque if you're an old
Kevin
Browns fan
Mack.
like me.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
What did they
no
have?
one's talking about
Pruitt
this kid.
and Mack?
Yep.
Was that
or
it?
Mack and Biner.
Biner and Mack.
Yeah, yep. Mack and Biner. Biner was my favorite. But yeah, this kid, I mean, and he can catch. We saw that, you know. And look, linebacker, good luck, Arkansas linebacker. You know, have fun with
Drove
that.
his ass.
Yeah. You know, he'll keep his feet through stuff. So that's that's the look right there of Christopher Brooks. So I'm glad I got to share that with you guys, because it's the only show I'm probably ever going to get to share this guy until he actually plays well. And you guys would actually be legitimately interested and appreciate it.
Yeah. See, you know what happens with a guy like that is the draft comes around and somebody's sneaky in like the end of the 7th or UDFA, and you're like, oh, the Packers just picked up Brooks, or the Vikings just. Then we're all pissed off and we're like, fucking Waldman. You had to put him out there.
That was like last year. You on this very show, you put up Khalil. What's his name from the Buffalo Bills?
Shakir.
Yeah, Khalil Shakir.
And you saw what he ended
And the
up
Bears
becoming.
had that pick and traded it to Buffalo. Buffalo came up and took him.
And Shakir, you could see his ascension. He's growing into his role. He gets it and makes those clutch plays.
He made some big catches this year.
Yeah,
even in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, but there's one against the Steelers that you look at, it looked just like the tape we watched. You know, back shoulder, tight coverage, taking a hit, and just came onto the field and did it. You know, he was like, "Hey, Gabe, I'm behind you right now. You can hear my footsteps."
Speaking of the Bills, your quarterback that you loved for Miami in the playoffs this year, if he had a little bit of help. Oh God,
they dropped so many passes.
I know.
Skylar Thompson's all year. It's like they weren't used to the righty, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking about when I was watching that. I'm like, oh, this is Waldman's guy, and they're giving him no help at all.
Yeah, I'm still like cautiously optimistic about Skylar Thompson as an NFL quarterback. Hey man, thanks for having me. You know, so
Oh my God.
But listen, you spend as many months as I do cooped up typing stuff all day long, and it's like I'm not going to talk to my wife about football. I mean, we talk about all sorts of other things and have fun doing that, but she doesn't give a lick. If you could combine football with the rules of roller derby, she would probably dig it. So we go back to like 70s, 80s football. She would love that, but she's the first time we watched a game together, you would have thought that she was wanting to watch professional wrestling with this, and I don't think she's much of a wrestling fan either, but she likes hitting, but then on a Jack Tatum level.
Yeah. Matt, how you doing, man?
Great stuff again. Barber. What's up,
yes,
man?
what's up, buddy? Hey, you got time for a quick couple questions from the chat that we saved?
Absolutely.
Here, so can the Bears draft a tackle in the 2nd or 3rd round and be a plug and play? So obviously, who would you think they could draft?
I mean, I would have to think the Georgia kid or the two that we mentioned at the top of the show. I would have to think that those guys might be possibilities for you. I mean, the first one that came to mind, I think that I mentioned was the Georgia kid, and I'm trying to remember his name, and Harris Johnson, the Ohio State kid.
Yeah. I think on the question they're asking 2nd or 3rd round.
Matt,
a little bit later.
That to be honest with you,
right.
To be honest with you, that's beyond my pay grade. I spend too much time.
I'll give you a name.
I'll give you a name.
Matthew Bergeron, offensive tackle from Syracuse.
Sweet.
That's Shane's guy.
Yeah, you got it, Cornelius. Yeah. One more. How about this? who's your number one sleeper in this year's draft?
There's one.
Maybe not for the Bears, just overall, but give one for the Bears. Give one maybe for
well,
overall.
To me, a sleeper's a guy who didn't get drafted, and no one's talking about. I just shared it with you.
Showed him. Yeah.
I just showed you Christopher Brooks. But if I was going to go with the guy that's been, that maybe. I'll give you one at each position. How about that, just for the fun of it?
Okay, let's do it.
I think
Bullets will be happy.
I think that I think Daniel Barker is going to be a sleeper eventually, as a tight end. Then at wide receiver, Grant Dubose is interesting out of Charlotte. 6'2", 201. 4.5, 740, not great, but more in that Reggie Wayne, Darrell Jackson sort of mode. I love Jaden Reed, but everyone loves Jaden Reed, so that's not really a sleeper. But Dubose is higher on my board than most guys, so I'm a fan of him. I want to love Michael Wilson, the
Stanford
injuries are so scary there.
He is literally a carbon copy of Michael Thomas, except for his hands. Yeah. His hands are his worst trait or his worst skill. He's getting better at it, but he drops a lot of passes. If he can get that together, he's literally a carbon copy, metrically, size-wise, route-wise, of Michael Thomas. It's amazing. Brooks, obviously, as my
running back.
Running back would probably be high on that list. I like Tyon Evans too of Louisville. 6'2", or 5'9", 225, 4.5 speed. He can kind of run around you, run over you, or run through you. And he's got that kind of Ray Rice, Travis Henry dimensions and skill sets to a degree. Not quite like Rice. I mean, Then quarterback. I'm a big Jake Haener fan. Yeah. I think he processes I'm higher on processing, lower on robo quarterback size. He can read the whiteboard like a coach. Oh, good for you. So you're going to be Luke Stocker coaching in the NFL. That's great. But good for you that you've gotten the next job set up. But, I want a guy who can process fast on the field as a quarterback. And Haener is probably that guy. I think that could have that chance to be kind of a journeyman starter, maybe a little bit more. I think he's a little better than Brock Purdy. I had Brock Purdy, my 6th ranked quarterback last year, ahead of Desmond Ridder and Malik Willis, who I had 9th. Haener, I have number 4 on my board this year, with a borderline rotational starter grade, meaning that if you had to throw him in there, he wouldn't necessarily shit the bed doing that. So
stay there at quarterback for a second. You're the Chicago Bears. Obviously, they signed PJ Walker as a backup. Nathan Peterman, they return. But I'm of the belief, so is Shane, that you can't just talk about it. You have to draft it. And, even if it a late round
we're talking
guy,
we're talking about a late round.
Yeah, it would be Haener, Stetson Bennett.
For those in the Bears, though, if you were looking at the Bears, was it Stetson Bennett is the guy for me? I'm like, that would be perfect. Have a guy that can move, push Justin Fields a little bit because he's an arrogant prick type of guy. He might be perfect there to kind of, I can start. I believe that and kind of push that. I believe those types of guys are good for the locker room. Is that a guy that you see there? I don't want to take that. I know you mentioned.
No. There's 3 guys that are below the top 3 on my board that most people probably have. Guys like Hendon Hooker and Will Levis ahead of these guys. Probably Clayton Tune ahead of these guys. Jaron Hall, that kind of. But my 4, 5, and 6 are Jake Haener, Stetson Bennett, and Tyson Bagent. And Haener and Bennett. Haener and Bennett are really good. Yeah, Bagent's interesting.
He really is.
Yeah, he can move the pocket.
He's another dude that would fit in with Fields, 100%.
Yeah, move in the pocket. He can layer some throws. He's got a good arm. He's got a good enough arm. It's just whether he can process the field as fast at this level compared to the level that he was at. I think it's possible. And then Bennett, to me, I mean, he can be a creator. He's a little streaky,
love it.
but he's got a better arm. People look at him and they go, "Oh, it's another one of these University, Miami, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Texas, Colt McCoy, Eric Zier, Jake Fromm type of players who just can't get it done." But I think Stetson Bennett's got a better arm than that, and he's good enough that I think you can get that. He's somewhere to me between Russell Wilson and Seneca Wallace.
Oh, wow.
He went out at the combine, and I said this on our patron show, and Will Levis talked about his arm. Stetson Bennett went out there and fucking said, "Fuck your arm." Here's dimes down the field, like out showcasing Levis in that moment. And I'm like, I'm watching the tape and I'm saying the same thing as you. This is comping Russell Wilson. This is where I felt he's got this bias because Georgia won. But my father said it on the show this past Saturday. And he's like, look at this kid throw the fucking football, because we were watching Broderick Jones tape. And obviously,
maybe we should do one on. Maybe we should do Stetson Bennett.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We'll do Stetson
he's a
with
fun
my
one.
dad and you.
Oh yeah,
he is, and I think he'd be the perfect fit. I know a lot of people hate, but I want to ask you. Pause there on Stetson. I think everyone knows where we're going, but I have a hard time understanding the Richardson stuff. I just don't see an accurate passer. I just don't. I'm like, everybody's trying to show me. What are your thoughts on him?
See, he's my number one quarterback.
He's your guy. He's your guy.
Yeah, and
he's
I'll
your
explain
number
why.
one guy. Wow.
He is, and I'll tell you why is that he's gonna make throws that he's gonna miss cover two, and you're gonna go, oh my God, how could he not see the cover two? Or he's gonna make the Matthew Stafford hero throw with a defensive tackle in his chest trying to make a jump throw 50 yards downfield that's not going to be anywhere close, and you're going to say this kid's shit on a stick. He's not, he's just not ready. But a closer look at his tape reveals that this kid moving in the pocket, manipulating not the safety who every high school quarterback worth his salt can do, but he can manipulate the flat defender and the linebacker at the same time. He can do that while he's climbing a pocket, do it on the move, and then layer the throw over the defenders. I have a YouTube video on Anthony Richardson that I would check out on my RSP film room that literally shows how often he manipulated defenders, placed the ball only where the receiver can get it, protecting him. He was like everything that people wanted Zach Wilson to be, but wasn't. And it's like the Beach Boys, I'm sure, were a great group, and there's a lot, nothing wrong with them, but it's kind of like, how about I put it this way? It's like if you watched the Five Heartbeats and you watched them bring in the Four Horsemen, who were the white group that was like doing this,
their style
and trying to copy their style. And we're like, we're hip, that was kind of like Zach Wilson was like the Five Horsemen to the or the Four Horsemen to the Four Heartbeats or Five Heartbeats, whatever it was. But Richardson, I am not even talking about him as a runner yet. As a passer, the things when you can integrate manipulation, layering throws, ball placement into tight windows, and you can do it after you've had to move in the pocket efficiently, you've just integrated three of the toughest skills that you need in the NFL to be a good quarterback, that usually these guys who are at the top of the board oftentimes can do one of those things, maybe two together, but they can't do it in the combination that he can. So we'll put it this way, because I've used this analogy a lot, and maybe you guys haven't heard it, but it's like this. Say, Phil, you're Anthony Richardson in this. If you took Anthony Richardson's talent and translate it to, say, learning Vietnamese, you and Shane are gonna learn Vietnamese and go to Vietnam and live there for a while. Shane's like the Shane's like the average robo quarterback with the size, arm, played in the system, all the Bill Parcells rules. 3 years as a starter, winning record, interception, the touchdown INT ratio, all those safe guardrail things that you look at in the first round that keep you from fucking up when you're a defensive coach, who played in 1980 and 1990. But now we've got more analytics and more film study to look at that we can do more. He's going there. He's got his app that can like translate. He's had 2 years of language lessons. He's there for like a year and a half already. He's got a guide who can interpret for him if need be, who will help keep him out of the bad neighborhoods, keep him from getting bad deals and getting suckered by the street vendors. They're going to take him to all the tourist acceptable places that not going to get him in any trouble. And it's going to look good on paper. And he's going to get better as a speaker, but it's at a point where, as that robo quarterback with all those things, all those safe things, he still doesn't quite have the skills to speak fast enough, convey emotion, or hear emotion in this whole thing. And he's still needing to use his app, still needing the best thing he can say is, "I'm sorry, can you please slow down and repeat this one more time for me?" That's the best thing that our smartest man can say in Vietnamese right now after that. Like, he says that like a native speaker. And where's the bathroom? That's about it, Now, Phil, he's more the Anthony Richardson type. He's only been in Vietnam 6 months. He has no guide. He has no app. He winds up in the bad neighborhood and gets robbed once. He winds up getting taken by a street vendor at first, but the second day he comes out, or the second week of this, he comes out there. Well, what we don't know is that Phil speaks the language at the speed of a native speaker. He listens at the speed of a native speaker. He can convey emotion and hear emotion. So when the guy tries to take him again because he didn't understand the culture, because the con and maybe where you were in Connecticut is different than where you are in Vietnam. So he didn't recognize the con.
I'm not smart.
Just like maybe Richardson didn't recognize cover 2 the first time he saw it, or the fourth time he saw it in this variation with the type of play. But next time he sees it, well, Phil's like, the guy tries to take him, and he's like, nah, and basically tells the guy off with the joke. They become fast friends, and now the con artist is showing Phil around Vietnam. Who would you rather have show you where to get better deals and where to find out all the good things are in Vietnam? A tour guide who's trying to keep you safe, or a con artist who knows how to keep you safe but knows all the angles? And that's basically that's Anthony Richardson to me. Anthony Richardson is the guy that people are gonna like go off on him like they did on Justin Fields in year 1 due to the circumstances that Fields was in. But Richardson's going to, because he didn't see certain things enough. But I also
explains some of the accuracy numbers that people are going to throw out there. Yeah, he is, for me, I just see him erratic with accuracy. It scares me, but I see when you say that he's your number 1, I'm keeping it 100 with you. I'm going to have to, because once Chicago, I love Bryce Young. I have a higher grade.
Sure.
It's very well documented on Bryce Young over Justin Fields. We've talked about this. People get all nervous. You're saying he's better. You would take. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I understand the position the Bears were in, and you make a business decision, and you're building around Justin. What Bryce does now, I'll root for him, and he'll whatever he does. That's where I am. But I stopped looking at the quarterbacks. So I'm going to lean on you for Richardson. You have him as your number 1. That's surprising. I wasn't expecting that from you. So when it comes from you like that, that means a lot to me. So I'm going to have to look.
Who do you have as your number 2?
I have Stroud, and he's the safest guy, if you ask me. And that's not why he's number 2. It's just that I think that I'm scouting for a wide range of people. So if I were scouting for a specific team and I knew we were going to go pistol or spread it out, Bryce Young would probably be over him. Bryce Young might be number one because it's to me. I don't have an argument with any of those three guys. If someone said I want to take him first because of these reasons, I go good.
Well,
that's a good choice.
It just shows you the variance
there.
because you have Richardson 1, I have Stroud 1, Phil has Bryce Young 1.
Yeah. And it comes from where you're going with this. But I mean, like, to me, Richardson is that guy. I'll add one last thing is that, I mentioned Brock Purdy. Well, last year I got to provide scouting reports to Will Hewlett, who is the quarterback coach who works with high school, college, and pro players, ranging from, he worked with Trevor Lawrence a little bit last offseason. He worked with Brock Purdy prior to the draft, and he's working with Anthony Richardson prior to the draft now. And again, I'm not ranking these guys high because I get to provide my scouting reports to a guy. I mean, I'm ranking because what help is that going to be to a quarterback coach, So when I had Richardson, when I studied Richardson in November, he was my number one quarterback. And then I submitted my reports. And then I asked back in February, I just said, I've finished my reports. I'm done. I'm not changing anything. There's nothing to change. I'm writing up my publication. I just said, but out of curiosity, what was he like? What was it like working with him? And his response was, listen, Matt, he said, he goes, he's an elite learner. He's like, he's different. He is just a different dude who can take from the whiteboard. He's great at the whiteboard, but he can take from the whiteboard and put it on the field. It's just more reps, more experience.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. And Will works with the QB collective. That means that, guys like Shanahan and McVay are a part of that. He is, he coaches Drew Bledsoe's son. He coached Drew Bledsoe's son. So, Drew Bledsoe was a pretty darn good quarterback in the NFL. If you're going to trust it, if you're going to say, you know what, I think this guy would be good to coach my son. Yeah. That's pretty glaring endorsement to me. So Richardson to me certainly has the most downside because I think that there's teams that might look at him and look at that great athletic ability and the running and all that and try to do things with him where they limit him as a thrower, where he's got some really, I don't take natural talent lightly because most talent to me is worked at. But when you can integrate like that at this level, you can't teach that at the NFL. You can't teach someone who doesn't know how to manipulate and read leverage, how to do that while in a tight pocket, climbing and sliding, and then layering a throw and doing all that. He does it Tennessee game. He does that great. He does that in multiple games. So, for me, and Mark Schofield, who used to be my cohort on podcasts every year, who's a terrific quarterback guy.
That guy.
He loves Richardson too. So he's, he and I are the same accord. And we did a show recently and we said, Mark said it. He goes, listen, I hope that he gets NFL coaches who let him go, like him and Bryce Young. Let them go and be what they are. If they let them go and let them throw and attack the way they can, he said both those guys are, going to light it up sooner than later.
So who you got? Your fourth?
Hayner.
So Levy. So you're not on Levy. What's your issue with Levis?
Levis is lower than Malik Willis was last year for me, and Willis was 9th on my board. I had to squint pretty hard. I'm kidding when I say this, but I had to squint kind of hard to get Will Levis inside my. Well, he was 13th on my board. Will Levis is not a NFL caliber quarterback right now. He may be eventually, he can become one. He may even become a starter. I get that, especially because the draft capital is going to be high enough that they're going to ramrod him in there if they need to. But the problem is that he's about 2 to 3 beats slow on a lot of throws when it comes to, processing, and they're learning that processing is important. Is that I put it this way: when the quarterback sees that the receiver has an advantage leverage-wise against a defender or a zone, the ball needs to come out right then. Just like you need to hit your mark as an actor, or you have to have good timing as a comedian to make the joke funny. You have the greatest joke in the world, and if you can't tell it with good timing, it's going to sound shitty.
Yeah.
And so, same thing with a quarterback. Levis 2 to 3 beats late all the time. Not great pocket movement and management, and then his feet. Okay.
Yeah.
You want the midline of your back foot to be aligned with the target. That's your baseline accuracy you're going to get. Your refined accuracy comes in conjunction with your front toe pointed to the target or where the target's supposed to be. Now, Will Levis, what he likes to do or does too often is the midline of his back foot is where the target is, not where it's going to be.
Okay,
and then his front toe is out in space in the opposite direction. And then as he in the middle of his release he tries to snap his feet back to where they're supposed to be before the throw. Now, let me ask you something. Why is this guy trying to look like Brady Quinn, spending so much time doing that? And I don't know if he's working on the footwork.
Yeah,
he's got the look.
Yeah.
But
he seems more interested in eating bananas with the fucking peel on it and putting mayonnaise in his coffee, making you see all these videos that and I'm like, what are you doing?
Well,
Jim
he
Drunken
should
Miller
practice on his feet, and that's
kind
the
of
thing.
like a way
Remember
to
him?
America.
And
I've
I've
been
been
scuba diver down in the Philippines. Kind of like
there you go.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, his quarterback coach is Rick Scangarello, who has been a quarterback coach in the NFL for a number of years. Now, when I went to look at Rich Scangarello, I was kind of suspect because, I'll admit it's probably not fair to bang on this guy because I really don't know a ton about how people feel about him, but his resume is a series of 1-year jobs in the NFL, which tends to be, according to people I know, what that says is he either is difficult to work with or just not very good at his job. And what was fascinating to me is that when he was in San Francisco, he was going to places, let's just say, and telling people in the public eye that Will Levis is a pro caliber quarterback. Now, why was he doing that a year before he came to Kentucky? Why was he telling people that? Why am I getting emails from RSP subscribers who don't work in football telling me before Rich Scangarello got there that he's talking to them and saying they're excited to tell me you need to keep an eye on Will Levis because I have a quarterback coach coming in here telling me this guy's the real deal. And this is a year before he even came there because he knows he's setting it up. He needs to recruit. He needs to get the buzz generated about this guy. He needs to get the Mel Kipers and the other people in the world who like have agents, and listen, Mel Kiper is an inspiration to anybody who does draft. The fact that he came from where he came from to get to where he is, good for him. But it's also a fact that Mel Kiper gets paid by agents or associates with agents, and his boards can look like what agents want it to look like. He can be influential that way.
Pumpkin pies do you eat, Mel? Here's a couple bucks for the pumpkin pie.
That's
Let's
right.
talk about my boy.
There's a little corruption there with where that comes from.
It totally is true.
So Will Levis, I think, in this, Will Levis to me, I look at his
I'm
game,
with you,
and I
Matt.
can't even go there.
There's no way as a coach that I'm sitting there talking to the GM and they're pushing Will Levis and I'm looking at Stetson Bennett and I'm like, this guy's way better than Will Levis for what I want to do. It's like
I like Aiden O'Connell better than I like Levis.
Me too. He's one point above him.
Yeah.
The only guy I have lower is Tanner McKee.
Yeah.
And
Levis,
I don't even
I'm
know if
with
that's
you.
fair.
So Levis is your what's his name from the Jets that
Zach
we were
Wilson.
all right
Zach
on.
Wilson. Yeah.
All of
Oh,
us. If you remember, and that's why you fans
we
are
had
here.
So many people on
hating us.
The show just like, what are you guys talking about? And I'm like, I don't see it.
I go,
My co-host Felix Sharp for every other week was a big Zach Wilson fan, and he always talks about it now because he's like, I've been converted, but like it was hard. Because he'd tell me he used to listen to me talk about guys or on podcasts, and he'd be in his car driving, and he would be. He said whether he loved Ramondre Stevenson like I did, so then he was like all excited. He'd get all pumped or amped one way or the other, and it made me laugh because like he liked Jay Kaner too. So when I mentioned I liked Jay Kaner and that I had come around on Jahmyr Gibbs, he just it was fun. He's a great guy, but like and his uncle was Luis Sharp, the tackle, but the thing with Levis. I don't get it either, man. And that's the thing. You had an NFL caliber quarterback coach, and your feet are still like that in year 2.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No one could tell me Hendon Hooker ain't better than Will Levis. I mean,
I'll take him too.
The tape tells me Hendon Hooker over Levis. So I don't. This whole mantra of this football player being pushed up into the top. I mean, at one point, it was like, oh, he can go number 3. He can go 2 to the Colts trading up for Levis. I'm like, what? And I can't shut my mouth on that stuff. I have to say, no, I don't. Right, wrong, or different. You're not going to hear me flip flop.
Yeah.
Like I'm not taking Will Anderson now and putting 6 other edge rushers on top of him and saying this is the joke of where draft coverage, and it's so unfortunate that they
you're talking about Chris Sims edge rusher list.
I'm talking about Pete Prisco saying, I watch Will Anderson, I don't see it. I just what? Like what tape are you watching that the dude is just 208 pressures? It's just disgusting.
Well, he plays.
This is a kid they're doing it to, though. You know what I'm saying?
People like to play the villain, and if they can be the heel and get clicks, then it's about entertainment and clicks. And if you get enough clicks, and you live in Jacksonville, Florida, or used to, and you like sniffing the behind of the executive staff of the Jacksonville Jaguars and getting a chance to kowtow there, like someone I used to know who worked there would see Pete Prisco, he would just beam about being able to associate with those guys. I heard about that about 15 years ago. That's fine, but some reporters are just reporters. They like the notoriety. They know they're there to entertain. And that's the element of it. But when we're under this big spear of football, fans expect more. And they expect everybody to do everything when there's actually all these silos. And part of that silo is the entertainer realm. And Prisco is, he's an entertainer. He wants to be an entertainer, more than he wants to be than he is a football analyst,
Yeah, and he gets so much exposure. But you brought up, and I always make fun of the Philadelphia Eagles because everybody in my family is an Eagles fan. But you brought up Fran Duffy. That dude is so good at what he does. I mean, I'm not an Eagles fan, but I subscribe to his podcast to listen to him talk about players. I mean, he's absolutely legit. And I mean, I think Fran could literally work for a team in the front office. I think he's that good.
Yeah, Fran's great. Fran, Ben Fennell, who's with him, his co-host, both those guys understand the game, and they do a fantastic work with their podcast and with their tape study. And you can at least see an explanation for what they think about players.
Yep.
And that's that's all you want, is you want logic behind what people are saying, whether it's going to be right or not, because there's a lot of elements about the maturity of these players, because they're young, and some of them don't love the game, but they've been great at it. I mean, I've said this a number of times because I just watched Sha'Carri Richardson run a 10.58 in the 100. My wife's best time was a 10.78 in 1988. And now she doesn't like me to tell people about that, and I do it anyway. And she's probably pissed at me. But like But
amazing time.
But it was amazing. But she didn't
Hell
want to be a track athlete. She wanted to do something else. And there are some people that she had means to be able to get and do everything because all her family went to college. So her expectation was to go to college and do something academic. But like, there are a lot of kids who don't have that opportunity, or they think because they're good at it, they have to. And so they learn this when they get into this league. Then you get just the confidence level. Some of these guys, it's like Zach Wilson, I have no doubt, could have developed into an NFL starter with the right mind frame, but he wasn't. But he probably wasn't going to have the mind frame. Same with Brock. Same with Drew Lock. Drew Lock is the perfect example of this because I remember writing about him and saying in my scouting report, he's getting comped to Patrick Mahomes. It's not even close. It's like, he makes some throws on the move across his body. Yippee, that's great. He's got a big arm. But when he faces the low-level teams at Missouri, he looks great because he doesn't have to do anything technically sound or perfect to make it work. Then he has to face the Floridas, the Alabamas, the Georgias, and suddenly he looks like the kid who didn't do his project every day, and the project looks like a mess now that it's time to turn it in. And I said that, and then talked to my buddy Cecil Lammy, who covers the Broncos, and he knew I had said that. It's an RSP reader. He talked to Brock Purdy's dad 3 years later when Teddy Bridgewater was in town, and basically Drew Lock's dad said, "Listen, I've been trying to tell Drew this since high school that he needed to work on certain aspects of his game. But, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the nation in high school. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the nation in college. College, you got to take your own time to work on this. So they might show you something that you need to work on for later, but you've got to do it on your own. They don't have enough time to do that. And if everyone's telling you it's good enough for you not to get benched, then you think you're good. You think you're going to be good when you get to the NFL. So when Peyton Manning calls your ass up when you get drafted and says, anything you need, you let me know. And he doesn't take that opportunity to say, can I work with you?
Exactly.
Can I watch film with you? Can you critique my game from soup to nuts? And I'll tell you a Jay Cutler story in a minute, but like, if you want, when that happened, it took till Teddy Bridgewater got in town and his job was on the line. And then he called up Peyton. It was like, can you help me? By then it was too late.
Yeah.
It was too late. And his dad knew it. He said, look, Drew's a nice guy. He's a great kid. I love him to death. I'm rooting for him. But I'm telling you, this is where he's at, And, parents, because it's not the end of the world for him. He's going to wind up, whether he's going to sell some football related product like Kurt Bankert and do well, or he's going to wind up coaching, or he's going to be in insurance, or whatever it is that he finds that he likes to do. He's going to be fine because he made a lot of money, and hopefully he doesn't regret this too much. But that's the nature of this game, and that's what's hard is you don't know all that stuff, and even when the teams that do, they don't always interpret it the best way.
What's your Cutler story?
When the GM who helped draft Cutler, I was on a show with Brandon Thorne, the great offensive line analyst that you see. And Brandon was his production assistant, and I was the guest. And this was years ago. And I'm trying to remember the name of the
What's
GM.
His name? Shane.
You know who I'm talking about.
Ted Sundquist?
Ted
Sundquist. There it is.
Ted Sundquist said, listen, Mike Shanahan wanted Leinart.
Matt Leinart.
The scouts and us wanted Cutler. We agreed with Shanahan. Shanahan agreed with us that if we couldn't get Leinart, that we would take Cutler and he would be fine with that. So we got Cutler because the Titans scouting staff wanted Cutler. Dorm Chow wanted Leinart, and Bud Adams wanted to flip the bird to Houston and wanted to take Vince Young. And that's literally how that went down.
Jesus.
So Fisher and the
a lot of shoe salesmen.
Fisher and the scouts wanted Cutler. They knew. Okay. Well, Cutler gets railroaded a little bit by, or not Cutler, Plummer gets railroaded a little bit by Shanahan at the end of the year after taking him to the championship game. They didn't like that he threw some interceptions and he didn't trust him enough. So he took out the best play production-wise out of Plummer's playbook, according to Cecil. The roll out, throw deep, took it out, just like he hamstrung Robert Griffin, who I didn't think, again, he has his flaws, but to say that Robert Griffin went into the office and said, I want to be taught like a pro quarterback, like a pocket guy. I want to learn. Will you help me do that? Can I have input on plays? And Shanahan's telling the Washington media after he got fired, Daniel Snyder was behind this and Robert's a good kid. And I am, I don't, no one gets to have input with plays as a young quarterback. And then I asked people around, I'm like, who in the league, I go, is that true? And he goes, no, about 80% of the league allows their young quarterbacks to have input with the plays. That's just Shanahan gaslighting everybody, trying to make himself look like the good guy. So anyway, Shanahan did this to Plummer before he did this to Griffin. And Plummer, started to plummet, and they put in Cutler. Cutler had that Pro Bowl season. Well, the Broncos knew he wasn't ready. Ted Sundquist said, we knew he wasn't ready to be the main guy, like to really be that guy. But Shanahan was gone. We brought in McDaniels. And McDaniels trying to be the Vince Lombardi of the new era. And Vince Lombardi had guys like Frank Gifford and like old pros in New York tell him to chill the fuck out and stop being a know-it-all and a loudmouth and yelling at all these veterans. They literally cornered him in a room one night on the road and said, we like you. You've got to stop, though. Like, you've got to stop being this guy. We know exactly. You know. And he figured that out. He learned the line. McDaniels did. First day, conference call. Jay Cutler, his agent, Ted Sundquist. McDaniels spends 15 minutes reaming Cutler on the phone. That he's trash. He sucks as a quarterback. Here's what's bad about you. Just breaks him down completely. Not, hey, how you doing? You suck. Cutler turned to his agent and said, get me out of here. I don't care how, when, or if, or when. You've got to get me out of here. So according to Sundquist, the Bears were interested because they thought they had a finished product in Cutler. Denver knew that he wasn't quite there yet, but they liked him. But basically,
this wasn't going to mesh.
McDaniels basically fucked it all to hell, blew it all up immediately.
Yeah.
And so the Bears got him expecting him to be the guy from the jump, and it never happened. And he got frustrated, and he turned into the meme that he was. And that's my Jay Cutler story through Ted Sundquist, who told that on air.
Yeah.
It's amazing how these journeys and the story of your career can be influenced by the culture and the coaching that you get in the NFL. In the NFL, guys.
Jerry Glanville years ago.
Yep.
Jerry Glanville years ago, making Brett Favre throw balls on bets up into the upper deck of Atlanta Stadium. One of my closest friends from childhood, who I always joke knew Brett Favre before anybody else. Okay, he was my friend who we used to do Oklahoma drills in our apartment hallway as kids growing up on rainy days. Okay, great guy. My friend Trey Scott. I love Trey. And Trey, I remember excitedly, an Alabama fan. Went to Alabama. I'm coming back from the University of Miami. We're watching before, during the summer preseason. First preseason with Brett Favre. He's like telling me story after story about Brett Favre and the whole story about him getting in the car accident and losing feet of his intestines and coming back to play like 20 pounds underweight and doing all of that stuff. He was just, he was amazing from that perspective and just couldn't go on and on about it. But Glanville's like, the only way he's going to play is if the team charter crashes and we don't have, and the players die. Literally telling people these types of things. And I know it was 30 years ago now, maybe longer, 30 years ago. But that mentality is still around with the worst teams, while the best teams are still doing some things. But it's like those types of stories are just, they're commonplace, because if you look at corporate America, when you look at corporate America and you look at all the crazy shit that happens in the news, and you go, how did they run this Mickey Mouse venture? Or how did Bernie Madoff get away with this? Or how did these things happen? And you go, oh my God, we're gullible. Well, it's the same thing. It's still a business.
Yeah,
there's the business of it and the craft. And the craft of football has to run into the business end of it. And that's the shitty part, when the craft is the head and the business end is the business end. That's the part why probably some guys hate their job, is because they're spending a lot of time having to kiss up the business end of somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about.
We right there subtly had Matt Waldman talking about the Bears for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
The business side just was shitty. Your shitty business, but you were the head of the snake leading it. And you had a guy in Ted Phillips, and his last day is coming up in 5 days on the job. Kevin Warren will take over. And I talked to Chris Zorich this afternoon. I know Chris, that was his first agent, the whole story. And I said to Chris, I go, my only hope is that Kevin Warren goes in there and takes the business side of the McCaskies, who trust shitty businessmen and people and whatever, and just pushes them aside and said, this is the football, which is 90% important. 10% is this, because it'll be overflowing. Just like the YouTube prices of the NFL Sunday ticket. It'll all be okay financially. Like, you could trust me on that end. But the McCaskey just lived with that laugh. But anyway, we've spoken so long here. We broke down tape. We talked about the draft, even Jalen Carter. We had so much to get into. We're just kicking off the week before Christmas, the week before Grown Man Christmas, right? How many days are we? 3 weeks? 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Jesus Christ. 2 weeks away. We have one of the brightest shining North Stars when it comes to the NFL draft that I know. Not only is
3
he
hours,
great,
Matt. Thank you.
Great. I know.
3 hours.
He jumped right on.
He was in the pre-show. He was sitting in the green room.
Ivan was
watching the
feeding
intro.
him the great spread of shrimp cocktail and everything. And he was enjoying. Well, I love you, Matt Waldman. I got a text. You can hear the ding that the purchase has been made. So 5 RSPs are going to be donated.
Guys in the audience, for sure.
Shout out to Bill Wagner. Bill Wagner's in the chat right there.
Yeah, he's been in the chat all night making some.
Bill has a comedian side to him.
He's
believe,
very funny
because he always has some great lines. Even if he's breaking my balls, I laugh at it, which I think that's important, that we laugh at ourselves. But anyway, I thank you so much, Matt Waldman, for coming on the show and really breaking down the draft in a detailed way like we do at TTNL. You fit in perfectly here. That's why I do consider you a brother. I know we talk off the show, but I will share this, that integrity is important. You surround yourself with good people, and in life, whether it be parent, father, mother, whatever, or life, it's great to have people like Matt Waldman there so I can get some advice on how to help raise a teenage daughter that hopefully will be home by her curfew tonight. All that kind of stuff. But it's good to have people like you in our life. Go over to the mattwaldman.com, purchase the 2023 rookie scouting portfolio right there at the bottom of the screen. Do it yourself a favor. Not even doing Matt a favor. You're going to end up doing yourself a favor. over there. If you love TTNL and film analysis, you got it tonight here on Keeping It 100. Tomorrow night, we're going to be live.
Nice.
Coach O breaking down some offensive linemen, tackle or guard. Some say tackle for one of these prospects, guard for the other. Some say guard, not tackle. It's going to be a fun show to watch the tape of Skoronski. It's a great Polish name, and Braden Daniels of Utah tomorrow night. Sign up, become a patron at The Tape Never Lies. Matt Waldman, do you have any shout out you want to give? Anything?
I just
Anyone
want
you
to thank
wanna
everybody
say?
who's in the. I just want to say everybody who's in the chat room. I appreciate the support here. That's why I'm doing 3 hours here, because I know we're going to get a chance to actually talk football, talk the tape, have some fun doing it, be able to just, curse and tell jokes and be like we're in middle school again, but then also be adults at the same time, where we can just do the full range. And there's not many shows like that where you can just be the full range of who you are. And that's a big shout out to the three of you guys and to the rest of the staff, behind the scenes, for putting something together like this. That's why I look forward to this show. And when I say I can do it, I know I'm going to be here for 3 hours, and I don't give a fuck. It's fun. I'm looking forward to it.
We never do just the tip. We shove all that shit in, right? That's how we do it.
Got to get skinny in that hole, the penetration.
Yeah, you got to put balls deep. That's right.
I love it. Listen, while I have pressure on you, since you're so nice, what night of the draft are you going to be available to jump on and talk about what the Bears did? Are you like Friday night look back or look at the first round? We got to have you on.
Well, let me see what it is. We'll make sure that it happens one of those draft days. I haven't ironed out what I'm going to do yet. So I've got one commitment that may take precedence because I work at footballguys.com.
Sure.
And Sigmund and I are good pals, and we've been doing it forever. So we may still do the first round this year, but I've got to double check on some things. So we'll figure it out.
You have an open invitation. I'm not trying to put pressure on you, but I got to hear what your thoughts are, because this will be officially Ryan Pohl's first round maneuver. Will he trade? Will he stay? Is he going to focus on the line? Does he surprise everyone and take a freaking receiver or corner? It's going to be interesting, and I would love your thoughts on it, and I know our fans would, and we'll totally sell out the RSP that night too. So thank you, Mr. Waldman, and your wife for giving your valuable time and hanging out with us, talking Chicago Bears and the NFL draft like nobody else does. As Shane said, there won't be any surface level bullshit with Waldman, Atoshin, Marsaw. Claudio, he's focusing in on the MLS draft too.
He's a soccer fan. He doesn't count.
Love the scarf with over the bear, though. Gotta say,
thank you. Mama
yes,
my mom made that.
My dog tracks bear. I will say though.
What was that?
My dog comes from a breed that tracks bears.
Oh shit!
Oh really?
Apparently, yeah. Part Catahoula leopard dog. Apparently, he's part pit bull, part Catahoula.
I was gonna say he must be a big fucking dog.
No, he's 50 pounds, but they put him in with the big dogs.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But he tracks them. But he's all muscle. But he's a sweetheart. But he is a. But I do laugh because I read about that and I was like, do I really want this dog? I don't know, man. Tracking down bear and wild boar.
No, he's part
I don't
pit.
know.
Pits are the best. I gotta say,
he's wonderful.
Pits are the best.
He's been laying here the whole show.
Look at that. Nice. I love you, Matt. Thank you for jumping on.
Awesome. Great job.
Appreciate you. The great Matt Waldman, mattwaldman.com. Get over there, RSP yourself, and do yourself that favor. Get skinny in the hole, check for the penetration, and you'll be fine. I love you, man. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Right. See you, Matt.
See you.
He's Matt Waldman. Claudio, is he not top 5 guest?
Of course.
Oh,
he's been back. I mean, the guy's knowledge is just
is infinite.
crazy.
Oh, I wanted to sing him the 5 heartbeat songs that I remember. I totally fucked up. I wanted to say it, but I guess I can't do it. What was it? Did you ever see that movie, Shane? The 5 Heartbeats? Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh, it's a great movie, dude. You got to check it out. All I remember is a heart is a
son's
house
after me to take him to see
for
the Mario movie.
Dude,
Dude, you got to see Dungeons
and
and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons was fucking great. It was so much fun.
Have you seen Mario yet, though, Phil?
No.
Mario? Oh,
is
dude,
it good?
You liked it?
It's amazing. It's great.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just because it's so nostalgic for us.
Yeah.
Claudio going out there.
No,
Mario
it
was
very
amazing.
good. It was very good for people that grew up with it, like we did. There's so many things in there that's for us. You know, all the little Easter eggs.
There's like
Jack Black did a great job as Bowser.
Yeah, I did hear that. Ryan Cox was saying that there's a lot of stuff in there for adults for us to look back at and be like, "That's awesome." But yeah,
that's why I loved it. Yeah, especially I grew up when my daughter's playing Super Mario with them.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure you did the same with your son. So
yeah,
it was cool.
I got a good song for you guys. Do you want to listen to this one?
Yes, there it is.
It's like my favorite song on Wednesday nights.
The quick version.
Listen, a heart is a house for love. That lyric always stayed with me, as you guys stay with me. It's shout outs time. Where did Ivan go? Did he leave a voice?
Yeah, he had to bounce.
Okay.
He was struggling to stay awake, and he's got to get up very early too.
Okay.
So,
Ivan, I shout you out, Ivan.
Yes.
Right underneath me here. He made the roster sheet there. Look at him. Anyway.
But go Bulls! Came back and won.
Came back and won. I saw that in the chat. They
nice.
they updated.
So who they got to play now?
The Miami.
That means they're in the playoffs?
Yeah, they're in the playoffs.
Well, they're in the.
Are they already in?
They're in they're in the play in. Now they go play Miami.
Okay, so I'm gonna cheer for them.
And then the winner of that goes and gets beat by Milwaukee. But you know, it's fine.
I'm just a fan. I'm not a football evaluator.
Yeah, no shit.
Stay away from the football. Hire Shane, Matt, and Phil. That would be fun.
Oh,
Jesus. Claudio, you got a shout out.
Yeah, I'll shout out.
Great show.
Yeah, it was. It was another great show. The fans in the chat, obviously, always great, having fun, going back and forth. Some people got to be put in timeout because they get a little
oh
crazy,
my god,
you know. But,
Ben and Bullets and Rico, I'm like,
oh
stop.
my fucking god! Can you
watch
pay
the
attention
show.
to the fucking show?
No, it took over the whole chat for like.
I never thought I would have to.
Bullets and Ben are like, I'm gonna call Rico a clown for the 87th time. This one's gonna
Rico
hit
uses
home.
emojis as they're using like 20 fucking emojis. It's like,
I never thought I'd have to scold the chat, for God's sake.
I know. Like,
Bullets texted me. He's like, "Did I get put in timeout?" And I just wrote, "Yes."
Yep.
I saw. I just looked to see if Ivan wrote something because he had to leave, but it wasn't there. I just see Shane go, put Bullets and Rico in a fucking timeout. I put it all together.
Well, did you see the comments? Like 75% of the comments were the same shit. I'm like, oh my, it's like a Benji Bronk vortex over here.
Guys, you sometimes like ruin the flow. I didn't expect Ben Ricketts to get sucked.
He came to the aid of Bullets. That's what it was.
He had Bullets. I love Bullets.
He got Bullets back.
I love Quiddy
It was
Pays
all over.
uncle.
I don't even know. It was whatever. But,
what is it about?
Chat is always popping every night.
Yeah, Rico knows the role that he plays in every single.
Can we get Rico
show.
on this show? Seriously.
He's
only for the fact that I want to play an instrumental version of Rico.
Suave.
I
don't think he is. I don't think he is suave.
Please bring Rico on. I want to hear his take here.
Oh, he's against calling everybody
down again. He's against trading down again.
Yeah, I mean it's 100%
Well, he's saying,
in
he's saying
play.
if there was a really good player at 9 that you don't trade down, you take the impact player or whoever you use.
That's kind of right too.
Yeah, they both had good points, but whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
could
So
be
shout
a
out to them.
Bullets versus Rico.
Shout out to Ivan, obviously, Jackal, Cherie, everybody that's
Jackal didn't show up, Claudio. What happened?
Yeah, he had some. I'll tell you after, but
Yeah, I'm sure there's
he had
something.
some legit stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure something that went down. So shout out to
Wasn't
all that.
Bingo.
No,
Dog ate his homework. None
no
of
car show. Shout out. Karaoke night.
all
at
I've
the
been waiting
Burger
for is
Bar.
a Bratcher mock draft. I
I invited him.
I
He's
just
like, I don't
want
have
him
the
to do a
time.
mock.
Listen, I got to be at the bar
Come
at
on,
6 for
Bratcher.
my buffalo burger and fries, and I'm going to post it on Facebook. Don't have
Tilted
time.
photos.
Yeah.
Always got to be
Come on.
tilted for some reason. We love you,
Bratcher
Bratcher.
mock
We love you.
Shout out
Love
to Bratcher.
Yeah. Shout out to Bratcher.
And Jack.
So yeah, and then shout out you guys. Obviously, great job once again. And it's draft
It's
is around the
almost-
corner. That's it. We're almost there.
It is.
Somebody asked me the over under for hours draft week, and I
my
set it
God.
I set it at 40.0. So we'll see.
I'm betting the over.
Yeah.
No
So
doubt.
when is the patron mock? That's in 2 weeks.
That is all set. It is going to be April 24th. We're gonna
April
probably
24th, live.
Yeah, I think we might want to start that show maybe a smidge early because
Yeah, we gotta, dude. I can't.
go at like 7 because
7, definitely.
Angel Bernard is involved.
This
so
is like
I
a.
know he's gonna he's gonna
Angel
take
might
us
not
to 2 a.m.
get. Angel might.
Wait,
not
I gotta
be able
come
to
on the
sign
show.
up.
I'm kidding, Angel, but
Oh
yeah.
my
So we
God.
have I have the entire list right here.
Oh my God! The
in front of
whole
me.
mock
Yeah.
draft is going to be set up by our patrons, so they're going to become the GM of each team.
Yeah, Bullets
whole
is the
goal.
GM of the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Dayton Jones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dayton Jones. That was my
But yeah,
guy,
it's
though.
all patrons are GMs of every team in the NFL, and they're going to come on. We do have a
Do we
surprise.
have any open GM? It's all filled.
No, it's all filled.
I had a couple people reach out.
The
That's okay.
Cincinnati Bengals pick
Bengals.
is going to be a surprise.
Okay.
General manager is going to make that pick.
Nice.
So they have agreed to come on. That'll be fun. But no, the TTNL Network patron live mock, April
There it is.
24th. Say we might even want to push for a 7 p.m. East start time maybe that night.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't worry about the Central.
But then
7
Tuesday,
p.m. East, bro.
yeah, Tuesday
Tuesday.
night will be
Yes.
fight night here at TTNL.
Fight night.
Shane versus Phil with our. It's not really it is a mock, but I don't know who gets. I'll have to look back. Have somebody look back, see who got the. We've been alternating who goes first. I think I might have went first last year.
Yeah, what that is on fight night is we have to pick our team. So it doesn't matter where you're picking or what team. It's
Yeah,
my team versus Shane's team. You
We
guys
have
are
to
going to
fill
vote
a starting 22.
starting 22. So you got 2 guards, 2 tackles, a quarterback, a fullback. So it should be a lot of fun.
We don't draft backup quarterbacks, so I'm not taking Bryce Young. So
Maybe we
Phil
go
will be able to draft me.
3 receivers, one running back, no fullback.
Yeah.
Blazing game, but pissed. He'd be pissed at us.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll be Tuesday night, the 25th, and then April 26th, Wednesday night, that'll be Keeping It 100, but it'll be a little bit different show that night. Definitely not going to be a 3-hour banger that night because we're going to be getting prepared
Yeah,
for
no way.
Thursday night of the draft. But Cars will be doing his
GM.
live mock. live on air, and he's done pretty good. So yeah, looking forward to seeing him back. He is, you know, been dealing with a lot of family stuff. His mom passed away. She just had her funeral, and you know how it is with that. We've been talking a little bit. You put so much time and effort into all of that, and you love everybody that is there to support you, but at some point you get sick of hearing the same exact thing over and over again. You know, I'm really sorry for your loss. She was such a great lady. While that is all true, getting back to some sort of normalcy is a big part of the grieving process. And obviously we'll be here for Cars however he needs us, but I'm looking forward to him getting a little bit more involved in the draft with us and talking about it that way, because I think it's something that we all look forward to, and it can take his mind and be a pleasant distraction from what he's been through here the last 10 days, 2 weeks or so. And then Thursday night, man, that's where we kick off live Thursday night, covering it from start to finish, talking about the Bears pick. We'll be back again on
guests.
Yeah, Friday
surprises.
Friday night, the Bears have 3 picks. You know, boom, boom, boom. What is it? 54, 61, and 63. 64, is that what it is? Yeah. I think it's 64.
Yeah. Friday night, I think I can break some news here that Chris Zorich will jump on Friday night. Saturday, I believe, former Bears quarterback Eric Kramer gonna jump on and look at
I
back at
the Grossman. I got excited.
I was almost there. We're trying to get him.
We got to find the guy.
Then we're gonna have a bunch of surprise friends of the network and media members jumping on throughout the draft coverage. Probably gonna get better draft coverage here of the Chicago Bears than anywhere else. And then next week, breaking news, we got the man that I'm gonna shout out is David Kaplan jumping on. Will he be 3 years straight? Miss Cleo calling it for what it is that they're going to do. So David Kaplan next week, keeping it 100. Got to shout out David tonight. I'll just do my shout outs quick and we'll bounce out of here. It's been a really long, amazing show. I want to thank Matt Waldman for all his time and his energy and effort, bringing in the tape as well, and just tremendous guests, Shane and Claudio and Ivan and everybody at TTNL, Caden Whitlow, Jackal, Cherie, we miss you, Bratcher,
that's Matt Waldman.
That is young Matt Waldman.
Wow.
Young Matt Waldman. Also Ron G, Cool Kennedy, all these guys on the TTNL Network as we get you prepared for the NFL draft coverage here. I also want to shout out David Kaplan and his son Brett. Unbelievable people there. Dave is just, I don't know how to explain it. Just good people. I just wanted to take my time out to tell them how much I appreciate their support. And David Kaplan, I'm excited to talk to you next week, but shout out you. He's the best. Chris Zorich, Kramer, my dad, all of the guys that have been doing all the hard work behind the scenes, breaking down. Big Steve Edwards. Steve Edwards and my dad are so amped up for DeJuan Jones.
Just had a 30 visit in Chicago.
Just had a 30 visit. I had texted this Big Steve. I called my dad. He's like, can you imagine they get that filthy animal at right tackle? If you're not a patron, I don't know what you're waiting for. I'll wrap it up by saying tomorrow night we'll be breaking down more tape, and then on the weekend we'll break down even more tape on Sunday to get you ready for the draft. And Matt Waldman will actually be next weekend on X's with the O's, breaking down Stetson Bennett and a bunch of receivers and a couple running backs. Obviously, you got a little taste tonight of Zach Evans, who Tate Atoshin loves. So shout you guys out. Life is difficult. If you're going through anything, please reach out to us. I want to share this last thing. I'm sorry. One of our patrons, Keith, I shared it last week. He was watching the show from his hospital bed in ICU, watching the Tape Never Lies and the fans, the patron show where the fans came on and we're talking the draft. And I just want to let everyone know that unfortunately Keith's wife reached out to us and Keith has passed on. Unfortunately, but she really, I want to shout her out and just let you guys know this network means a lot to me. And I know you should probably know that, but Shaniqua, my thoughts and condolences go out to you and your family. I wish Keith was here. I'm so sorry for your loss. It's never easy.
He is. He's here.
And
he's watching us.
I believe it. But, you know, just let you know, Keith will be on our minds. We'll continue to think about Keith. I didn't never get to meet him, but the fact that he loved this network as much as she says, like every night, it brought so much joy to his life. He was so happy to see Phil and Shane and Steve Edwards and Coach Atoshin shout him out. It's unfortunate. Please let everybody know. Keith, Shaniqua, Martin. I'm giving her whole government. I hope it's all right. Henderson is her name. The TTNL is family. God bless you. Love you, Cars. And everybody that's a patron and supporting the TTNL. Smash the like button. Do that. Subscribe to the channel. Let everybody know, as Jack would say, be a friend, tell a friend. We'll see you next time here on Keeping It 100.
I'm going to tell you, shit in your hat and get the hell off the field.
Playmaking standpoint from
the record here.
I love all